Hey, what's up, y'all? You can update your gaming. You must have looked at a different topic. Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm trying to get the TikTok going simultaneously for the first time using TikTok Studio. In the West Indies. But the go live option is not there. Got it. It won't let me go live. A camera source is required to ensure real-time interaction during your live. Okay, well, let me add a camera. Add a source. Camera. Add. We'll do the FaceTime cam. Add. But we will hide the cam. Go live. At least one cam is needed. Okay, so that's whack. Let's do show the cam. Let's make the cam so small that you can't really see it. And kind of move it over here. Now let's see if that'll trick them. Ah, that'll trick you. Okay. Um, Indian slavery. Slavery and you gotta trick them. All right. All right. So now I should be live. And there's my comment. So I really don't need that window. Let me see if I move this window down, if I'm still good. I'm gonna leave this window up so I can see if my TikTok folks are gonna be joining. So what's your I guess people showing up on TikTok. So prior to today, some time ago, TikTok Studio was only available on a Windows computer, and I recently they just I guess allowed us. Okay, people are coming in on TikTok now. Now I'm gonna see. Hey, TikTok fam, if you can hear me, okay, let me know if you can hear me, okay, TikTok fam. Because I now have my TikTok Live Studio on MacBook. They now allowed it on MacBook, and I'm screen sharing my Restream window to my TikTok Studio so y'all can see me through this. And the audio for my YouTube and Twitter folks is coming through this microphone. But you said I'm good. Appreciate that, Bria Simone. How you doing this evening? Is what it is. I almost said morning. So cool. So at least y'all get the good video. The audio seems to be good. So yeah, so now your boy is simulcast streaming on YouTube in the good format, on TikTok in the right format. You on Facebook. I don't know why the hell these damn things are behind me, the balloons. Facebook, which I may need to change because I think it's on my personal, and people on my personal don't give a fuck about what I'm talking about. Y'all know how it is. People on your Facebook, they don't give a fuck about you. You know what I mean? They just follow you, look at your shit. They don't give a fuck about anything you saying. Unless they see you in real life, then they be like, I saw what you posted. But as far as interacting, nah. What's up? I am my ancestor. So yeah, I can see it. So let me see if I minimize this screen as long as I can still see y'all. Yeah, I can still see y'all's comments. Bet. And it looks like it actually overlays on top of my restream also. So I can manipulate my restream. Let's see. Let me make sure. I may have to move it out the way. I'll move it over here actually. Yeah. That way I can come over here and we can add this in like that. And then we can move that over here like this. So yeah. Okay. TikTok fam. It's my first time using the desktop studio simultaneously. Said nice set. Appreciate it. I wish I could see how it's coming through on y'all's end on the TikTok world. Let me go into my other account, which I never go into. Oh man, I ain't even. I gotta add it back. When did it? When did it get unadded? We'll do it up under that one. Let me see if I can see what y'all see. I guess it didn't log me in. Okay. Add account. Dallas going to the Dallas Viral. Let's see if this will work. And we about to get into this stuff, man. It is a good setup. Appreciate that. So it's coming through good on y'all end. TikTok doing some changes. Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And all these, I have to agree to these new terms and all this other shit. Now let me see if I can find me and join my stream. Samuel. There we go. Let me see what it looks like real quick. Oh, this looks cool. So y'all can see all y'all's comments pretty good because that whole area down there is black. I'm pretty good just kind of taking up that little bit of real estate at the top, but that's fine. Y'all can actually see the stuff. Let me see if y'all can see my receipts pretty good too. So yeah, I just got look. I'm sorry, YouTube and Twitter fam. I know I'm taking all this time to make sure my TikTok fam is straight, but y'all gotta understand, man. My TikTok fam is, that's my fam. Y'all my fam too. All right, let me get out of this. Let me log back into this one, and we're gonna get to the facts. We're gonna get to the facts. All right. Okay. Well, that's what's up, man. All right. Everybody coming up for 2026. Okay. So earlier I was on a live stream and I was reading through the history of the five civilized tribes. Now we're gonna read through not the whole thing. We're gonna read. I might read the part where I ended off and continue down through here to see if we got any more good receipts out of this, which we probably will. But we're gonna really first hone in on some of these receipts that I already picked out. We're gonna talk about Indian slavery and the West Indian slave trade, or slaves being taken either from the West Indies or from some place, Indians just being enslaved, period. Because they try to tell you, act like it wasn't a thing that happened, or they don't want to. I don't want to say they act like it wasn't a thing that happened. It's just not talked about in the history books like that. That's in school and all the other curriculum and stuff. You can always change it when you have blow it up more in depth. Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out how to make it a little bit bigger. What's up, Fatty? Yes, it's weird. Yeah, it is. It really is how they don't really talk about it, especially how. Well, it's. I'll tell you what. It's not weird that the natives don't know how to talk about it or don't know to talk about it because I am not surprised. I should say I'm not surprised. I really should be more surprised, but I'm not surprised they haven't looked into the history of the real Indians for real. Like you would think if you're trying to mimic a people and completely assume their identity and y'all been staying on a reservation for years, at least maybe 100 years if you give them from 1900 to now, at least a 1920 to now ish, at least 100 years, right? So you mean out of 100 years, out of 2 to 3 generations, y'all niggas didn't read these books? Y'all didn't figure this out. Y'all didn't be like, oh well, they used to wear pearls. Well, let me go put on some pearls. Oh, they used to wear cotton mantles and they had like a certain kind of colors that they wear. Well, let me wear those colors. Like all that triangle shit y'all got going on with all them weird things and the weird feathers and stuff you got hanging there. Like feathers is cool, but the way y'all got them, I don't get it. But I'm not surprised they didn't really get here to the 1890s, 1900s, 1920s anyway. So yeah, no, they just and they're a lazy folk, as we've seen. In many cases, they got a whole lot going. But okay, said it's almost non-existent in memory. Yeah, exactly, and it's all in the newspapers, all in the history books, all in the newspapers, and we're about to look. at some of these things here. So now this whole document here is pretty amazing, um, but let's talk about certain sections. Let's read this section right here. Get your screenshot on if you'd like to. I've been looking into it literally it is the biggest cover up besides Antarctica. Yeah, I didn't even think about it like that, but in a sense, yeah, like our whole identity being erased, the slavery, the erasure, the the practices, and everything is the biggest secret in this world, like you say, besides Antarctica, because it is like, what the hell is going on over there, you know? But all these nations gardening, they can come together for that. But they can't come together to help us figure out our who we really are, or they come together to erase us. So let's look at this here. He said the secret is wild. Our ship must flip everything, and a lot of this scholarship we're bringing is flipping everything on top. I mean, not on top, but flipping everything over from what everybody has known all these years, and I mean many years too. This is what's crazy. But at the same time, some people knew about this shit because I found, as y'all seen before, and I might go looking for that document, that newspaper clip. We've seen newspaper clippings from even Marcus Garvey. We'll probably pull it up. Uh, Talking about how we were here and talking about Balboa and how he had found a group of niggas out, when he came here and all this other stuff. So then it's like one thing that I see. Okay, so now I'm thinking of two things. One, the natives didn't read them old books. Two, our ancestors were reading them old books, just like we are today, making the fights and everything, and the fights and the advocation for who the hell we really are. For those who knew, they couldn't spread it like we can spread the information today, more so than the propaganda could be spread via school systems, museums, news reports, all the stuff that helps to propagandize the natives. But yeah. So let's look at this real quick. It says, "Hey, followed by the unaliving of white tea people. When this was once begun, neither the red men nor the white tea." Now, you know what? I want to actually read the beginning part of this part because that is pretty cool. Hold on, let's see. Okay, right here. We're gonna read this paragraph right here. "The earliest troubles between settlers and Indians arose from the fact that the Indians, accustomed to unaliving whatever was suitable for food that they found in their native forests, did not make a clear enough distinction between wild turkeys and geese and tame ones." So, what they're saying here is that the first main problem that arose, even though a lot of these YT folks be having other problems, but they trying to say some of the first arguments that happened between the YT folks and the Indians were the fact that the Indians were and hunting everywhere and hunting and killing everything for game and for food. And for some reason, the YT folks had certain ones they wanted to keep and certain ones they didn't. And apparently, they're saying we did. We didn't have that. It says so that would cause arguments. And it says they didn't know, they didn't distinguish the difference between wild turkeys and geese and tame ones. What the heck happened? Get off my screen. And it done moves me. Hold up. Put that back there. Tame turkeys and geese, domestic and poultry. Between prairie chickens and domestic poultry, and between deer and bear on the one hand and the American hog on the other. So basically, they're just saying that caused issues. And from that, it says it was hard enough work for the settlers to wrest a living out of the wild region in which they were attempting to make their homes. It was undoubtedly hard to get a start at a flock of poultry or a herd of cattle, of course. So basically, what they were trying to do, now that I read that, is YT folks was coming over here trying to see if they can get some actual they were trying to, like, we would just go out there and hunt things in the wild according to them. They was trying to like stock up on animals because probably because they mostly eat meat. If you think about it, we can go out there and hunt, just take what we need right now and deal with that for a little bit. They trying to gain it all because they need all that meat because that's mostly what they're eating. We can eat a bunch of rice and everything else, right? But it says, and they could too. But anyway, it says, of course, it was exasperating to be constantly losing things which were to make the foundations of their wealth. But it's not necessarily, as you can see, that it's not necessarily that they're trying to get a herd of cattle together so they can actually eat it all for themselves. Looks like they was trying to make some wealth. Looks like I spoke a little too soon. I tried to give them a little bit of credit, but no, you're not trying to sit here and collect a bunch of game in order to feed yourself. You're trying to make money. All right, all right. See, y'all doing phenomenal scholarship work for real. Appreciate that. I am my ancestors. Says so they kept them as pets, but we didn't. Pretty much. And that's kind of the same thing today. A lot of niggas don't have dogs like that. And some niggas do. And many times when we do, we trying to, in most cases, you keep it outside. But I think these later generations, they're starting to be a little bit more accepting of pets. A lot of the girls I know, they be having dogs. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes they'll have cats. And the cat route is not a bad route. Like the reason why I don't like dogs is because you got to clean up after that damn thing forever. Okay, you gotta, man, take it out for walks. It wasn't until I was with a girl that had a cat, and I was like, man, I didn't even realize you don't even have to take a cat out for a walk. How come I didn't even realize that until I was with a girl that had a cat? I was like, you know what? I ain't never seen nobody put a leash on a cat and walk around. And if it never dawned on me. You know what I'm saying? I was like, man, you ain't even got to do that. Do that daily. Got to take him outside, take the dog outside every day, unless it's gonna shit on your floor. And who wants to pick up shit off the floor? Anyway, let me get off here. What's up, Tabitha? How you doing this evening? Bodacious Borland said we are making a life, and they were trying to make a buck. True, exactly, and they were causing the problems. So they kept them as pets. Oh yeah, already. So yeah, they were causing the problems. They were causing the problems. Trying to get greedy with the game. That's what I should call it, greedy with the game. On the other hand, it was not an easy thing for the Indians to realize the new ideas as the sacredness of certain kinds of animals which they found wandering in the woods. Of course, it was very rarely possible to find the actual culprit who killed the pig or turkey. But the YT pioneer is ready enough to go back to primitive ideas of justice and demand satisfaction or revenge of a tribe or even a whole race of people for the sins of the individuals. So basically, they said, hey, how you gonna find out who killed the damn hog over there? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of hard to find out, but either way, YT folks was willing to go and figure it out, or they'll just go and blame your whole tribe and try to give some kind of vengeance or something, right? So now we get to what caused the problem. Let's see. Let me go back to this. I think I can go over here. Well, not yet. Let's see. The unaliving of geese and chickens was followed by the unaliving of Indians. Okay, now we're seeing where we're getting into some issues. Let me see if my followed by the nope. Wanted to get to the one where I had it highlighted, but oh well, it's coming up. Thus, the killing of geese and chickens was followed by the unaliving of Indians, and this naturally enough was followed by the unalivings of YT people. So we wasn't unaliving you. You came on our land. You act like you got to get greedy and make a buck. We just going out there unaliving the game and doing what we do. And you like, hey, y'all killing all these animals, man. We about to unalive y'all. Y'all done unalived our animals. And next thing you know, after they unalive our folks, you know we coming back. Right? You think we about to let that ride? You ain't never let it ride, right? So we would come back. So it says here, when this was once begun, neither the red men nor the white tea men made any discrimination between men, women, and children. At some point, didn't even matter. You came after my folks, I'm coming after all your folks. And you see how it progresses. Progresses from good to worse. I mean, from bad to worse to worse to worse. Mostly because of them. But okay. It says, when these troubles were in either stages, a Mr. West, Mr. West was governor of South Carolina. He concluded that the best method of defense. I wish I could highlight it. Let me do this. I can revert it back afterwards. Because I like to be interactive where you can. Oops. Let's see. That's okay. So y'all can see that. Okay. Mr. West was governor. He concluded that the best method of defense. See, I like that. That's kind of cool, right? Was to capture as many Indians as possible and do what? Sell them into slavery in the West Indies. That's kind of cool how that comes because you can't see my figure, you just see the line. I love that shit. Like one of them news things or whatever. That's what's up. Let's see who we got saying. Wow, I know, right? I know, right? Liberian Empress, what's happening? Peace, everybody. Okay. So yeah. So look at that. A price was fixed for every Indian the settlers might bring into Charlestown, from which port they were transported to the West Indies. If you were thinking they were mistaken, now they let you know again. No, that's where they were transported from Charlestown to the West Indies. That shit's cool as hell. I like this shit. So what newspaper is this in? Amore, how you doing, Amore? Says so. I'm gonna show you the newspaper. So I got a question. Was we calling us Indians or they just called us that? Can I see who you are? Yeah, you don't follow me, so I can be real with you. That's a dumbass question. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. Who gives a fuck who called who what? Sometimes that's what I have to do first. Let me see if this person's following me or not. You're not? Okay, well, let me tell you my real opinion, goddammit. Who gives a fuck who was calling who what, nigga? We was the Indians. If you want to look back into it, we called ourselves Indians, okay? You think they made up the language? You think they made up any language? You think they made up any words like that for real? Come on now. And then they tell you they came over here, didn't even know who the hell we was. Why would they have a name for who they didn't know who was here? You know what I'm saying? Oh, they went around calling everybody Indians. Nah. Then how come they didn't call Africans Indians when they went to Africa? And it wasn't called Africa at the time, right? Because it wasn't called Africa at the time. So why didn't they call them niggas Indians? Why didn't they call the Asians Indians? Even though they call them Native Americans today. Nice switch up, right? So anyways, people just be saying shit. You said I definitely follow you, kid. You do? Are you sure I am, Stars? It don't say follow back. It ain't saying follow back over here. And if I'm a little harsh, I apologize if you do. It don't say follow back over here, but it could be wrong. I'm on the TikTok studio, but I'm looking at you. It ain't saying follow back. It is reclassification. What's up, Geechee boy? So they actually, oh man, get out of my way. They actually called them Ethiopians. Exactly. They didn't call them Africans. Alpha Queen, what's happening? They didn't call them Africans, and they didn't call them indigenous. I don't even think they call them Indians. Now, damn sure didn't call them Indians. But okay. So we know that they were captured and taken to the West Indies, right? Oh yeah, the newspaper. She's like, newspaper. I will probably have to show you after I get off of this, because I have to get out of this. I'll zoom out so you can see the Zoom newspaper toward the end. If I forget, just remind me. Salute. I appreciate all the work you do. Appreciate that, get your boy. Man, I'm gonna be doing definitely doing something about the Geechies at some point. Man, trying to put out the real information. Queen Quet hates your boy. Uh, she don't like that information your boy been putting out there, but it's all good. A lot of people who are Geechee like me. Those who think they are Africans who are Gullah, they don't. So I appreciate that, man. Okay, so let's keep going. Whoops, let me get that off of there. So okay, so as we got for and y'all can make sure you screenshot and get y'all can use these as much as you want. So they want to be African, but really bad. So whence in return these came canoe. And you know what? My bad, chat. Let me add in the chat from my sorry, y'all. I forget about my YouTube fan been over here saying shit. Let me say what up to my fam over here on Twitter and YouTube. I be forgetting to open up the chat over here, and then I got the chat over here on TikTok, and so we got Twitter coming in, got YouTube chat coming in, got the TikTok chat coming in, Facebook. I don't think people don't give a damn. But bad audio. Oh, is it? Oh, audio is better now. Okay, appreciate that. Appreciate that. Sounds good to you. Appreciate that, Aquila. What's up, Aquila? What's up, Craig? Security, whatever the world, Craig. What did they say? I got to say that. Thank you for your hard work and dedication. Appreciate that, Boathouse. Arab slave trade was longer than the transatlantic slave trade and the 13th Amendment. Both were horrible. Yeah, I can understand that. I need to look more into the Arab slave trade, but definitely the transatlantic was nowhere near what they tried to say. The Trans-Pacific Asian slave trade was worse, but they don't speak about that. That's true, Queen Mommy. I have a screenshot of the Spain museum, which is like a naval museum, which shows a map that's literally on their whole wall, super giant big, and it shows all the explorer, all the lines. It was the whole world. It was the map, a map of the world, and on that map it would show the lines of the voyagers coming from one side. There were more lines of voyagers coming from the Philippines area in Asia to America than there were coming from Spain directly to America from the other side. Way more lines. So yeah, these people be playing games. Said they called us savages, right? Called us savages as they came in there unaliving us because we done killed a little pig. You know, how you gonna come and unalive one of our folks because we done off the goddamn chicken? Bitch, I'm about to fry that motherfucker up and come whoop your ass and get my vengeance. All right. They knew that we are the Hebrews, aka Indians of Turtle Island. That's real. You forgot about us on Screw Tube. And you know what? I am and I'm catch up on my folks over here. You said what's the YouTube channel or more? It should be under my same name, Samuel Hali Kuhio. Should be the same name. I try to keep it the same on all platforms. Sometimes you might see A for Ali Kuhio, but I've been trying to switch that over to H, and that's because the H is really from what I see, the oldest use of it on that name. It says that story is deleted. What is the YouTube channel? Want to be African? Wonder why I am. Okay, now y'all going back. Okay, so who are the Native American people? Asians. The same thing they get mistaken for every time somebody look at them. You Asian? No, I'm Native American. I didn't see no feathers on you, so without the feathers, you look Asian. As if they didn't look Asian without the little triangle feathers and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? People be playing games. I think I was saying it earlier, for those who didn't hear it. I went to and we're gonna get back to this. There's more receipts on this, but I went to I went to a comedy show in Oklahoma City, and it was Chico Bean, and he was up there with another person that might have been a local, and they were clowning back and forth in the audience, and they had pointed to one of the audience members. I don't know what he said, but he had said something like, are you Asian?" or something like that, or something about an Asian. And she was like, "No, I'm Native American, nigga." That was the funniest joke that night. That was the funniest joke all night, bitch. You was exactly what he saw you the first time he saw you. Okay, sit here there trying to correct him, ma'am. You can't correct his eyes. He saw what he saw. He saw a goddamn Asian, just like I do. Niggas be playing games. I said, "I'm from Texas. We not the same perception." Are you talking to old boy? All right, so let me get back to this. All right, so okay, so as we seen, and this is in South Carolina, so don't let this get mistaken that it was happening everywhere, but it was happening in South Carolina. And like Geechee Boy on here, I've said from the beginning when I first started doing the history on Geechee, and I first came across a video with somebody speaking Geechee. I don't say Gullah, speaking Geechee, and I said they sound like they from the Bahamas, just a bit. And people, when I first started saying it, people thought I was crazy. You know what I'm saying? So, they not. But as you can see, people from South Carolina being shipped to the West Indies, and not to say that they are from there, but they have definitely been mixing. Not just because of the slavery. I also have receipts of Christopher Columbus saying he saw Chicora Indians in the Bahamas, or the Lucayans, when he arrived there on his first voyage. So, who are the Chicora Indians? Chicora is the original name of South Carolina. Okay, so it would have been Christopher Columbus saw South Carolinians, Geechees, which you would call today, in the Bahamas area, kicking it when he showed up, along with some Florida Indians and some Indians from Cuba, I believe. So we've been kicking it with each other, but certain areas. Now, I have to say this because I was on a live stream earlier trying to bring in them cool facts. Really, this right here, and it got a little heated, and people started saying that most of our people have been sent to the islands, and I gotta say, nah. And there's multiple reasons why. Not most. I'd say the southern region, and I know we say, we all come from the south, but I'd say more like South Carolina, for sure, Florida for sure, Louisianans for sure, some of them, and some of them on the coast of Mississippi and Alabama, that whole area, because that was all Florida, really. All that, which we call somewhat the West Indies too, somewhat, right? Some people say certain maps call it West Indies. Some of those people have been mixed up like that in that area. Now, I can't say that Shinnecock Indians have been sent to the to the to the West Indies. That's way north. I can't say that Caddo was sent because that's quite a bit north in Texas and Oklahoma area. I can't say that all the Choctaws went because Choctaws expanded pretty far north. I can't say that the Shawnee went. They were kind of more north, and a lot of the other upper creeks, which aren't really creeks and stuff like that. So what I'm just saying is there's going to be certain tribes that, yes, they will have a good mixture of possible Bahamians and other people in that area. But it makes sense because they're right next to it, right? As we go and look on the map, it just makes sense. Of course, you look at a normal map in this area, those people they're gonna kick it all around here, right? They're gonna kick it. And one thing, think about this. Now, not to say that it was likely a later migration, because yeah, we got a lot of people from the Bahamas in New York, but think about it like this, and I didn't think about it. Like, now that we know surnames, you got the surname Carter, right? Like Sean Carter, right? Now you have the Carters. Somebody came on my live stream, and I think they were Carters out of Florida. And he started saying about how there's Carters in New York and in Louisiana. And I didn't think about how some famous people like Sean Carter Jay-Z is in New York, showing a surname migration up to New York, but as well as Lil Wayne, who is Sean Carter. I think it's Sean Carter, but a Carter, who is in Louisiana. And it's not a coincidence that they kind of sound a little Bahamian, but not that much. You know, they got certain things. Like old boy on here that his Poppy so cool. Like he says certain words like brother. You know, I don't say brother with Brudda. That's not something that I say, but that's something that you also hear from the Jamaicans in a sense, or the Caribbeans, or whoever down there. No, brother, whatever, how they say it. You know, I can't do the accent because I ain't got that influence. You know what I'm saying? So we just gotta. I would say it's like this. You have it in the. It's a mixture in your genealogy if you find it in your genealogy. And the reason why I say that is because I've seen a lot of people on here find their transportation manifest from their folks being sent to the islands. And many people have. Kenya has, Gerbil has, um, and some others have. And so why I'm saying that is to say that that means the records exist, right? In many cases. So unless I find that record in my genealogy saying that my folks was sent to the West Indies, I won't claim the West Indies in my genealogy, but I will claim the West Indies as our folks because they are our folks. Okay, they're all Americans. They're all our people, right? We just gotta get it to a little bit more of a whatever. Okay, let me get off that. Let's go back to the over. He said your grandfather's a Carter, Dwayne Carter. Yeah, and the Carter family name is probably pronounced brother. And what up, Mad Era Watt? And the Carter family name is pretty big too. What up, Black Receipt? What's happening with it? What's up, B4 All? Much love to you. Chief Mimi, people that just came in, Seven Flames, what's happening? Simplicity, who says her grandmother was a Carter, what's happening with you? The Louisiana, okay, making sure I looked at everybody. All right, so let's get back to this newspaper. So, newspaper, right? Carolina, and I will throw this out there too. All of my receipts, if not maybe if maybe one, but likely all my receipts that I have that show Indians being taken from our shores, they are on the East Coast, and it all makes sense because that's where it was happening, right? That's where those foods was first coming to a degree. Not to say it wasn't happening on the West Coast, because to be honest, I have yet to look into all the history of the West Coast. A lot of that history is going to be in French or Spaniard documents, Russian documents, some French too. Louis Corus was French; he was over there, and stuff like that. I am curious as how many of them might have been moved around, if at all. But we do know for sure on the East Coast it was happening. Okay, so let's keep going. So hence, in return came large cargoes of rum. Huat, whatever his name is, quaintly added, whether the rum was imported into the colonies in return for these Indians proved of beneficial consequence or not. We shall not pretend to determine as this depended on the use and abuse was made of it. Where the water is bad, says right here, where the water is bad, a little rum mixed with it is accounted wholesome and nourishing. So they would add alcohol to the water in order to kind of purify it a little bit, which I wouldn't do that shit. But it says, but excess in drinking everywhere destroys the constitution. Because, yeah, you're going to get drunk off of that alcohol water. And it's nasty. And fruitful, spring to pains, diseases and death. By the by the traffic with the West Indies, we may judge that the water in South Carolina was generally considered bad. To those who know the Indians' attachment to their homes and their strength and the family ties which bind them, it says, look at this now. It is plain that no surer way could be found of developing in them an undying hatred of the YT people than the persistent kidnapping of their people. Oh, we may be quite sure that the warriors would hardly pay for the cost of the capture, and that the bulk of the unfortunate were sent into slavery that were either women or children. Who knew that? Let me show you that right there so you can get that whole thing for you. So you can screenshot that whole thing. Yes, kidnapping as well as mostly going after women and children with they weak asses. You know, you can't, you're not man enough to go after the warriors, the men of the tribes, and try to see if you can defeat them and valiantly take them into as prisoners and force them to do your bidding. No, you got to go after defenseless people who can't really battle you back that hard. The women, and I'm pretty sure some of the women whoop y'all's ass, but it's pretty bad. It's pretty damn bad. But make sure you get your screenshot for that if you like. We're gonna move up. And it says here, Governor Morton, who succeeded West, made an earnest effort to put a stop to this hideous traffic. He had he had been instructed by the proprietors to take all the Indians within 400 miles of Charleston under his protection and treat them with humanity and tenderness. So there was somebody that was going out there to try to help the Indians, okay? And it says here, a little before this, Penn had been showing that not only was such treatment more creditable of professed Christians, but that it paid splendidly. The governor, however, did not find the introduction of this more humane policy altogether an easy matter. A number of members of his council were making considerable profit of the traffic in Indians. They was making considerable profits in the traffic of Indians. Okay. Hey, you never heard of it talked about this way. And if you hear about it, it's supposed to be like some French thing. Now, some of y'all have, y'all my folks. Y'all been on this bitch. Y'all been hearing it. But still, many people have not heard about it like this, right? And it says, and regarded it as a simple robbery to interfere with their business. Three men, Maurice Matthews, John Moore, and Arthur Middleton, who likely stole our names, are mentioned as most bitter in the opposition to the governor. They absolutely refused to obey the new orders and in consequence were removed from the council. He said, beware the sound of bells, Amazon army marching. I don't know what you mean by that. Why they are out here crying about ICE picking up their women and children so much. I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's a good correlation. He said, you haven't heard of Chief Mimi? Said Africans love to say we have the colonizers' names. No, they have our names. Exactly. Because and the fact that these people believe this, like we barely believe that whole thing that we got their names. They almost got us hooked. Like my mom and my grandparents and stuff, they never said that they got their names from some white folks, right? So that doctrine is like, when did that doctrine happen? Right around the same time as they started putting our folks through schools, and maybe maybe my mom might have went through a little bit of it, but she said she didn't. So like, really, they try that shit on us, and it ain't really working. Like we would hear it and we'd somewhat believe it because the only way you believe it is you just associate it immediately to slavery, and it's just like, well, my skin is black. I guess I was a slave. I guess that's where the name came from, And they know that. If they give you fake concrete answers that will stop you from looking further, and just vague things. Oh, well, you came from Africa. Oh, well, shit. Oh, okay. Why? Because your skin black. And we just had all y'all enslaved. Damn. Okay, cool. And all y'all names came from us because we didn't name y'all because y'all had Africa. And they had to say that. Think about that. I think they had to say that about the names, not only because they were assuming our identity, but it was because they didn't know that they was going to call us African when they were first assuming our identities. In my opinion, they were just assuming identities. Eventually, it's not until like around the 1850s where they start somewhat throwing in African language about the Indians. But um, what was I going to say? They didn't call us Africans till whatever. Oh, so the whole thing about them saying about our names, like I feel like they knew at some point when you said we came from Africa, we was gonna probably start asking about where's the African name at. But my name is Johnson or Battle. What kind of African name? We gave it to you when you was on the plantation, nigga. Yeah. Write that in the history books. Yeah, that's what we did. It's like they just writing the story as they go along. You know what I'm saying? It's a bunch of bullshit. Because then later on, they had to say the same thing to the Native Americans. Well, why do these Native Americans have our name? We gave them our name too. We love giving our name away to everybody. It makes us feel special. Fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? You don't give your name to everybody on the planet. That don't make no sense. Like, everywhere I go, I'm giving my name away. It's weird. Okay. Yeah, remember the language from the Dred Scott case and choosing African. Exactly. Because they really want you to admit that you're an African. What's up, Judah Lion? Said the whole breeding farm myth got us believing that shit. Exactly. It's and that whole thing too, man. And the only reason why we really start to believe, again, they give you one story about slavery and then they can do add-ons to it, and you're always going to revert to the slave story to validate it. So it's like, well, you was all them people, all your population went up. Well, that was slavery breeding. That's what it was, and instantly you're gonna be like, well, I guess if we on the plantation all together and I guess we just all mixing together and shit. We ain't had nowhere else to go. We must have just been doing all that. That's the same thing with the whole ethnogenesis shit on the FBA side. They be like, well, the Indians and the Africans was on the same plantation. How well you not gonna mix? And think about this: how many of these plantations were hundreds, if not thousands, of acres. Do you know how big that is? Do you know how many people can live amongst hundreds of acres and not associate with a goddamn African slave? In fact, do you know how many apartment complexes and commercial buildings that could be built on a 200-acre plot? Your main city block area in some cases is around 40 acres, and that's a whole block. If I'm not mistaken, it's about 40 acres, 40 or 80. So, let's see. What's the average size of a city block? Let me say in acres. In acres. Well, that ain't. What's the average size of a city block in acres? A typical city block in the United States generally measures between 1.5 to 5 acres. That don't sound right. With 2 to 2.5, you can get a home fit on that. Quit playing with me. Yeah, I know what I mean. From like one corner, and I guess it just kind of depends on what each city decides to do on the end. In the city block in acres, the typical city block is more like 100,000 square foot, about 2.4 acres. They just don't seem right. They just don't seem right. Here it is: blocks of 80, 40, and here. In urban planning, this urban city design block, where did it say? It said about 40, 60, and 80 blocks. So I knew what the hell I was talking about because I've been trying to plan a city in the past, back in the day. And I was looking up that kind of shit. It's somewhere in here, but let me show you where it says here. Right there. Blocks of 80, 40, and 10 acres establish a street grid at the outskirts, whatever. So as you can see, and it'll show you the plots. And that's what I mean. Like, now this plot right here going around and that whole, all them squares, I had to be an engineer. I was an engineer for cable companies and telecommunications. And I literally had to draw these blocks, had to draw out the numbers or write the numbers of every each house or their house plot. and I had to draw all the I had to do all kind of shit. Whatever. Let me get off of that. But this is what I'm talking about. So a whole city block. So if you would think about it like this, now that's just 40 or 80 acres. Okay, 40 or 80 acres cover really more than that. It's going to be way more than that, to be honest. This is a small. That's not 40 acres, in my opinion. Each one of these homes is probably barely taking up an acre, and there's 26 of them on there, and they're not even taking up an acre. That's probably taking up a third of an acre each home, to be honest with you. But okay, so what I'm getting at with that is when these plantations were like 200 acres, 500 acres, 1,000 acres, and they be like, oh, they had all these slaves. You know how many people can live in 1,000 acres? Especially in a dense 1,000 acres, like a downtown area. If you got apartment complexes, now obviously they didn't have apartment complexes back then. But what I'm getting at is everybody wasn't just crammed in. We're gonna get back to this. What you call it? Everybody wasn't just crammed into some small situation that they just had to fuck on each other. Like there was no other choice for me to fuck this girl over here. Come on now, people are crazy. Who's an African? No, if my choice is between me beating my meat and being with an African, I'm handing it up all day long. Say hello to my new girlfriend for the goddamn night. There's a couple of Africans I might smash maybe out there in the world. A couple of them, I guess. I can't talk shit. I did smash one in my life, but she was really a Bahama. Her mama was half Bahama, half South African. So she really was an Indian from America, halfway. You know what I'm saying? So, but your boy was trying to, I'm just playing. All right, so let's get back to this. Get back to the facts. Off my personal shit. Okay. So he had to give up his position to Joseph West again, and the work of oh, wait a minute. Let's do this. Hold on. Let me go back up. I was right here. So yeah. These people are members mentioned were bitter about the opposition to the governor. They absolutely refused to obey the new orders and in consequence were removed from the council. Whoops. Among the people, no, they at once stirred up trouble among the people. It was not hard to find those whose relatives had been unalived by Indians and excite them to the point of rebellion. So basically, you have these people. Remember, it said earlier, because I've been doing a bunch of tangents. It said earlier that a guy, Mr. West, came in and he was supposed to be tasked with bettering the situation of the Indians, stopping the slavery, treat them better with kindness and tenderness, according to them. But that guy got booted out. So basically, these other three people who he took their place in order to try to make the situation better, they went around to the white tea folks that had people unalived by Indians to get them to help, basically want to get rid of the guy and put them back in office. So it says they at once stirred up trouble amongst the people. It was not hard to find those relatives who had been unalived by Indians and excite them to the point of rebellion. Thus, the authority of the governor was set at naught. He had to give up his position to Joseph West again, and the work of kidnapping Indians went on more vigorously than ever. It is rather significant that in commenting among the general conditions of the colony at this time, who says the progress of the cultivation, whatever. But notice right there, not only, and this is, if you want to know a date, this is 1685, I believe, or 1695, 1693, 1695, somewhere around there. Let's see. We're in the 1690s is what we're talking about. And Amor, there is the information, since I'm zoomed out right now, there is the information for which newspaper it was. It's the New State Tribune, Thursday, July 12th, 1905 or 6. So if you want to get a screenshot of that, if you're still up in here, you can there. So where is he doing the live stream from? I'm on if you're asking me, I'm on Restream, so I'm simultaneously streaming, but I'm also in TikTok Studio. So my TikTok Studio is basically just sharing the screen from my Restream, which I'm simulcasting over there for my Twitter, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook, folks. Make sure I didn't miss anything. He said they use old scholar material from so-called black scholars to push half in Hollywood broad. Yeah, and that's another thing too. They don't want us looking at these old books like this, right? So their new thing is trying to shame you for looking at the books for the other white man. You gonna read the books done by the white team, man? Don't you know the YT man lies? Oh, you didn't say he was lying when you said the niggas came from Africa, but don't you know he lies, right? And that's what they'll try to say. And then they'll say, I got, especially Pan Africans, I only read books from black people, from African scholars. And I'm gonna believe them. What, that's supposed to make them more credible? And how far back can you really go with these black African scholars? Mid 1900, the niggas wasn't right. Wasn't nobody in 1600 writing a book as a black African scholar. Now, some melanated folks did write books, but you'd have to figure that out. You'd have to understand who some of these people were that were writing these books and some of these first voyagers. In fact, one of the voyagers I got a map of, his last name is Lemoyne. Now, I couldn't forget that name after I saw it. I got a map from him from it's a map from France. He was French. He came over here from France. But when I looked up way later on and I did videos about what were black, so-called black surnames, and Lemoyne was one of them. I did videos on that. And Lemoyne was so instantly I had to think, okay, well, if Lemoyne is a black surname, that means that nigga that came in 1700 and wrote a goddamn map about what he saw in Florida and all this other stuff in the West Indies, he was melanated according to his name, you know. But okay, let's jump to, you know what, I might as well just continue this because I did this earlier, but I didn't have a lot of people in the live stream and I wasn't on my professional setup. Plus I didn't let the YouTube, TikTok folks and them come in on this. So I'm gonna go in on, I might as well just continue. So sorry if, you know, my TikTok fam, that, you know, you feel like you're getting, I'm having to go back over this shit for you from this morning. Let's see, make sure I did not forget anything. Okay, yeah, there you go, more. Yeah, New State Tribune, July 1905. Yeah. And yeah, South Carolina likely, they're talking about South Carolina. South Carolina likely. And the only reason why I don't have the actual link to it, I just saved the whole page so it doesn't tell me the link. And the first, you know, this page may not list all the information, but that should be some to get you there. If you're looking for it, if you really want to find it, how I found it, search the word Yamasee between the years of 1900 and 1910, because it's somewhere between 1905 and 1906. Search the word Yamasee or any one of these keywords in here. I would do Yamasee because it's not that many you're going to get with Yamasee, and it should pull up pretty easy for you. Let me see what they're saying over here in the YouTube world. Let's see. Now we understand why they never wanted us to learn to read, but after not being able to read, we have been led to the paper trail. All of the books are open, and we are reading them all. Exactly. 5 civilized tribes, Machata, Kusa, and Kalusa, Seminole. I love those words. Shata, Kusa, Kalusa, Kalalusa. I love them words. And there's so many derivatives and names based off of those words. Yankees, foreigners, anyone who went against the traditions, favor of our European ways, belief in life. YT love, or YouTube love putting their stuff on paper, bragging in museum. Oh, YT people. and showing that they have the claim to be done. A huge cover up. Yankee don't mean from here. It means foreigners. I haven't seen that word Yankee a lot. I definitely heard about it, from my younger days, but I don't know a lot about the whole Yankee thing, but I can believe you. So let's go through some of this real quick. Some more of this right here. It says that very small, the heat of the climate and the labor of the fields having proved fatal to many of the settlers, yet the cattle increased in an amazing manner and thrived exceedingly well in the forest. Having little winter, the woods furnished them with both shelter and provisions all the year. Neither houses nor attendants were provided for them, but each planter's cattle distinguished only by his mark everywhere grazed with the freedom. Hogs fared still better and increased faster. The woods abounded in with acorns and roots and various kinds, on which they fed and fattened and were reckoned most excellent food. No part of the world could prove more favorable to this poultry, whatever. Let me do a little side story for y'all real quick, since you just said that about the roots. Now, some of y'all seen this earlier who were on my live stream, but some people haven't. So I'm gonna show this real quick. Now, I was looking up information about something. We were talking about actually Yamasis. We're talking about if you're trying to find your tribe, you got to know history, time frames, landmass name changes, all that. Because Florida, if you're looking for certain books, like what they said, the Kusas. If you're looking for books on the Kusa tribe, you're not gonna. It's gonna be. You can only go back as far. Let's say if you're looking for the Kusa tribe from Alabama. Let's say it like that, right? So you're only gonna find books in Alabama back so far because people didn't start getting into Alabama, YT folks, until 1820-ish. Okay, after the 1803 Louisiana Purchase, 1812 Red Stick War, then you get them YT folks showing up over there. The first census happened in 1810. It was very small. Second census happened in 1820, or it might be 1820 then 1830, whichever one. And so what I'm getting to is if you're looking for books on your tribes of the Kusa that are pre 1800, 1820, you're not going to find them looking for Alabama books. You got to know that the area of Alabama was called Florida. Not that hard, right? You look at older maps and you find that out, but the area was called Florida. When you go look up books of Florida, books on Florida go back damn near to 1492 or 1501 or so ish, that you can find some Florida books. So what does that mean now when you go looking in the books of Florida and you put the word Kusa, control F to find it, right? You may find that word within those books, and then you can read the book about your tribe. So it's about knowing these things. And this is a book that I have found as I was going through, kind of giving that example out. And it's a book written in 1769 about East Florida. Now, who knew that there was a East Florida and a West Florida? Let me put done on that. Discard my changes because I don't want that on that one. This would be your map of East Florida and West Florida. Before there was a Georgia, before there was Alabama, before there was a Mississippi, before, right, Louisiana took up some of that area. In fact, the Louisiana was mostly a lot of things north of that. But Florida was not really included in all. Not all of Florida was really included in the Louisiana Purchase. That's kind of a thing. That's a whole nother story from Chief Warhorse. But now you can see that. You can see where the line and the Yamasee, or what's called Seminole now, or whatever, right? I got a receipt saying at one point they were known as the Panhandle Indians. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. They were known as the Panhandle Indians or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. Handle. Panhandle. It's got to be on one of these. Panhandle. Panhandle's not that one. Some also migrate. Oh no, maybe I could have sworn I seen it. Maybe it's some kind of spelled a certain kind of way. It's one of my but I'm gonna have to double check my whatever. But this one shows you too. It's about the Muskogee people or whatever, which would be the same thing as the Yamasee, talking about the Uchis right there. 16th century, 1500s. Alabama, Georgia area, which is Florida area, right? Or at this time, you can't be talking about the. See, and they kind of mixing things up because which is that's fine. It depends on how they're trying to tell it. But if you're talking about the 1600s, which is the late 17th century, you're not going to be talking about anybody that they migrated to Alabama and Georgia. It didn't exist in 1600. See, they migrated to. Let's see, the Ute were by the Tennessee River, so that means that they migrated to Florida. Okay, they migrated to Florida, not Alabama and Georgia, to Florida at the time, and South Carolina. South Carolina didn't exist in the 1600s. You don't get South Carolina till about early to mid 1700s. Okay. And I was showing that too. I'll show that real quick. We'll do Caroline. This should pull it up on that map. So like this is a map by that's not by Lemoyne. This is before there's a Carolina listed there. There's a Carolina listed there. So this is Carolina listed. This map, it's not 1654. That's the date of birth for that guy. This map year, I'm not sure, but hold on. Let me find the other one that I'm looking for. I may just have to click on my old maps zone in order to find it, because it may not be able to read that in there. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that. Let's do this. Old maps. Okay. So we got a ton of old maps here. Now here's one. La Florida Francois. Okay, this is done in French, right? La relation des whatever Ribier whatever 1562 is this map. So this is really early, right? We got Florida. We got Florida in here. Francois. I don't know why they're saying. I guess he put his name on there. But one thing we do have, we have Charles Fort, which becomes Charles Town later. Chicora is South Carolina. There is no South Carolina on the map in the 1500s. As I told you, it is Chicora, and Charles Fort was just getting going, which is with the white folks. Now, let me show you when you start getting Carolina on the map. Now, here's another map. Carolina's still not on this one. You still got Chicora in Florida. And notice how big Florida is listed, right? Then, where you at? Which one is... It's either one of these or it's in a different folder. Hold on, because I got two maps folders. And when I do that, it's never good because I end up putting them in the wrong thing. Let's see, maps. No way, where the hell is that map? Hold on, y'all. Old maps. Let me open one, and that may take me to the location where they're all at. Okay, here we go. Goodness. Okay, and I can see why I didn't. Like, if I type in Carolina, it couldn't read it out of that map. What's a good word for me to pull up on here? Portugal? I ain't gonna remember that shit. Excuse me. As you can see, Shalaki, like Cherokee, Uh, but you see that there's an outline, a dotted outline. Excuse me. Woo. A dotted outline where Carolina is. What year is this? I'm not 100% sure because I only got the screenshot. I need to go back and get the whole damn map. I think this is the whole. Oh, okay, this is the whole map. Yeah, so this is the whole map. Now look at Florida. Look at the line for Florida. Let me do this so I can be a little bit more interactive. Yeah, look at this line of Florida right here. Did it show up, man? Yeah, it did, but let me do it in red. There you go. Look at how big Florida is right here. It's taking up part of Texas, taking up part of the coast, all the coast, taking up all. It's going way up north, up in this area. It's going way up through South Carolina. That was all Florida. Okay, some people would say West Indies. I would say Florida because it's always been listed as Florida for the most part. The maps would usually show West Indies, including, it'll have the word usually saying including Florida, whatever, in those maps typically. So that's why I don't call Florida the West Indies per se. But I will say the West Indies definitely was all kicking it throughout Florida. Okay. Throughout some of Florida, especially the coast. Okay. And for me, just like we come from Mayans, Olmecs, all that shit, right? To a degree. So just like I believe the Mayans can walk up here, I can believe that the Mayans could float and go through here, right? They can easily take a canoe up this way, or they can just walk from those other pyramids through Mexico, what we call today, up to this area too. So the migrations can, it both can happen simultaneously. And and the reason why I say that, there could be some people who migrated from here, on up and never made their way to the islands. That's a possibility. It's a big landmass. And like I also say, all the people that can fit on this landmass can't fit in these islands altogether. It's not enough landmass. And yes, there used to be a little bit more landmass in this area when the water was not as high as it is today. And has covered up some of the land masses off the coast. And you can kind of see where that shaded area off of Florida coast, that was pretty much land and still land today. But either way, okay. So, but you notice this is what we got, on the map. This map comes from, what year is this? Hell, you would think they would put a damn year on here. And the reason why you want to know the year, because then you want to start knowing, okay, that's when South Carolina started coming into play, blah, blah, blah. I'll look for books around that time. But for whatever reason, I'm not seeing a goddamn date. So whatever, we'll get off of it. Let me go back out of here. Out of here. And we're going to go back. Go back to the newspaper article. I'm not going to read the whole thing because I want to kind of step it up towards another thing here, but I'm going to go through the ones that I have highlighted so we hit the main topics. So let's see. Let me make sure I didn't read this one already. Words could hardly. Okay, yeah, I already said that part. Saying that they were doing capturing women and children, right, into slavery, kidnapping them. Now you come down here and it says he had been instructed by the proprietors to take all the Indians with them. Okay, we read that part. And it says it was not hard to find those relatives who were, okay, we read that part. Indians again purposed themselves by trifling presents. They purchased the friendship of some tribes whom they employed to carry on war with others, which not only diverted their attention from them, but encouraged them to bring captives to Charleston for the purpose of transportation to the West Indies and the advantage of the trade. Thus, some Indians were learning the great advantages of commerce and becoming expert in the art of kidnapping members from neighboring tribes. These neighbors did not appreciate this development of civilized commerce, and in 1693, 20 Cherokee chiefs waited on Governor Smith. They brought presents and made proposals of friendship, asking him blah 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 blah. They said something about them here living up on the mounds, but main thing to take away, there's many different mentions in that article, all of them dealing with Indian slavery. Okay, which was the topic of the day. What's up, Copper Chippewa? Peace. Said well before the Louisiana Purchase. I forgot what I was talking about when you said that more about the before the Louisiana Purchase. You said when you're speaking and reading, always keep water nearby. Yeah, I know, right? uh, Texting Wild Grove, texting New Spain. I am so proud of us as a people who are doing our due diligence and controlling our own narrative. Real talk, Angie. Mississippi Territory, 1817, Lauderdale County founded. Oh yeah, the people start moving around that area. All that. All right, just making sure I got caught up. Said, what's the water for? Because I was over here coughing and choking as I was over here putting down this game. That's probably why. What up, Woken Gator? Said, peace all. Is everybody doing that? How you doing, boss man? And then over here in the YouTube world, said, it's a Des Florida, East Florida, Eastern Terra Santa, Coraline, North Carolina. Feminine plural. Is there a diphthong? Can't see AE. So I might have missed what you were talking about there. But all right, so we kind of got a good idea from that. I'm gonna go to some more. Now I was like, where do I want to shift this? I'm gonna stick to the topic. We're gonna stick to the topic of Indian slavery. We're just gonna pull up different receipts. So now that receipt, 1906 or 05 or whatever, they were talking about it. So it's not like think about that. That's not that long ago. For it not to be written in history books, school books, stuff like that, y'all knew that it was going on, you know? So that's how you know that there's a conspiracy to keep us from knowing that it was going on. Now, let me see if I can find my damn Indian slavery folder. And I think I got more than one of them. But we'll go through some of these. So these are going to be like book excerpts, different book excerpts from things that I've read over time talking about Indians being taken, whether they were enslaved, taken to the Europe, or whatever the case may be. These would be what these receipts are going to talk about. So let's see if I can go through some, and we're going to read some of these here for you. I haven't read them in a while, but I figured it'd be good to kind of go through them since we were kind of on this topic. And we have one thing in the newspaper showing it. So if the newspapers are showing it, let's see it in the books. Because 1906 isn't a primary source. The newspapers ain't a primary source, but they telling the truth. So it says, learning from that is from the invasion of Alabama. So as you would know, this book has to be post 1820, likely, because Alabama, of course, doesn't have a lot of literature on it. It didn't exist. There were the Alabama Indians that did exist who had that name. It's another thing to know, but okay. Learning from an Indian slave, right off the bat, right? Learning from an Indian slave that a country to the northeast abounded in gold. De Soto set out in that direction on the 3rd of March, 1540. He entered the territory of Georgia at the southwestern border, even though Georgia wasn't existing at that time, right? That's kind of how you can tell too. You're talking about 1540, you're discussing Georgia. It didn't exist, but that's kind of how you can tell the mind frame of the writer. Not to say that what they're writing is wrong, Maybe they're utilizing that as context so that way you can plot it rightly so in your head, but you already know there can't be a primary source if you're mentioning shit like this. But okay, because if you were a primary source, you would be taken at the time, you would have wrote this down at the time of 1540, and at the time of 1540, you wouldn't have said shit about Georgia. But okay, anyway, he entered the territory of Georgia at the southwestern border, crossed the Ocmulgee, Oconee, and the Ogeechee. So they knew the Ogeechee existed, at least during DeSoto's time, which Mrs. Queen Quet will sit here and tell you that the Geechee name does not come from the Geechee River. And can you believe that? Can you believe that the river has had the name Ogeechee for over 13,000 years according to the records? Yet she says the name Geechee does not come from it. But the people been living there forever and right next to it, but they didn't think that that's where they got the name from. They got it from Africa. The Kisi tribe. That's where they got it from, according to them weirdos. That's why they don't like me. That shit don't make no sense. And y'all disseminating this information like it's fact. And you the most official one at the top. Disseminating some bullshit information like this. Of course I'm gonna make a video about your ass, Miss Queen Quit. Of course I'm gonna make a video about them goddamn lies, especially when the top person is disseminating the lies, which is also dressed in our melanation. Okay? I ain't gonna clown too much and say anything else because typically I would clown you even further, but I'm gonna refrain from that. She works with UNESCO. I need to look into that UNESCO because I've been hearing about UNESCO a lot and I don't know much about them. But I definitely need to look into them. And I might know who they are. I just didn't know that that's what they were. Her and I got into it over that. See, and that makes no sense. If everybody keeps trying to tell you, Miss Queen Quet, and you keep arguing with them, then how the hell you going to get the real information? It ain't no argument needed. You need to provide the facts. I would like to know where the hell you saw anywhere in any document that a nigga said Kisi was Geechee from historical times. In fact, Geechee wasn't even the name of the tribes either. That is a new name. The tribes had other names, as somebody was showing there earlier. Kusa, Kusabos, Yamasi, Yamakra, Kalusas, Tamuquas, all kind of niggas down in that bit up in that area. It was, in fact, King Datha reigned over 500 tribes in Chicora or South Carolina when they first showed up. Over 500 tribes. They wasn't really called Geechee then. The Geechee name started coming up more so in the mid to late 1700s, maybe early 1800s ish, is when you start seeing it in documents, if I remember. Which is nothing wrong with still calling yourself a Geechee, because at least that's tied to an indigenous river. Ogeechee means river of the Uchis in Muskogean language. So it's a reference to the Uchee Indians, which are, also part of that. So part of the Geechees and stuff like that. So yeah, like that's what don't make no sense about the whole Queen Quet situation. Sam, some just have no comprehension skills, and she is one of them people. I can believe it. It's either she has no comprehension skills, or the only thing she comprehends is money in her pocket. She comprehends that very well. Here's some of that $10 million grant that we got for you from what's that nigga name? Clyburn, from Jim Clyburn. I think his first name is Jim. Here's some of that money, and here's some talking points we need to slide to you real quick. We need you to say this in a documentary in front of people as if you believe it. She'll get it then. Oh, I'm in. You know what I'm saying? We from Africa. You said $1 million? We from Africa. He said UNESCO is responsible for writing African history into our history. Okay. I'm going to need to check that out. Writing African history into our history. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to check that out. Check them out. Said it took 7 nations. We had some bad asses, and we still make things relevant and irrelevant. And that's real. You said love the lie. I said I appreciate that. What's up, the lovely Monet? Yeah, and that's real. What was I about to say? The 7 nations, and you got to think they didn't really defeat us like that on in mass. Like that's why there's treaties all over the place. Because if you defeat a people, you can just get rid of them, unless they just didn't want to get rid of it. But in many, I have to read all the wars to get all the details. But in many cases, man, like I mean, it makes more sense to just get rid of people than to keep them around and make a treaty with them. To me, that says that y'all wasn't winning. The YT folks wasn't winning either. You know, we either called the truce because we've been fighting for too long, and that's what the treaty would have been. Or like in some cases, when I was reading those agent newspapers, not newspapers, agent letters from the Indian agencies. Now, these were in particular at that time. I was looking into the Choctaws and Chickasaw agency letters. Um, like there was just talks about Indians possibly being hostile, and them niggas was talking about treaties after that. You said they might be mad at us. Well, shit. Can we get a treaty going or something? You think that's gonna stop them? I was like, oh, y'all some hoes. Y'all some straight bitches. Y'all sitting here trying to get a treaty going before the fighting even happens. Oh, you a hoe. you a straight scared motherfucker right there. I gotta find that agency letter because I'm gonna go through those agency letters at some point. What's up, Nikki? The amazing, lovely Nikki. How you doing today? Yeah, I gotta go back through those agency letters because yeah, they were some bitches. And it happened more than once. So I was reading about the Winnebago Indians first. That was the first agency letters I found, the Chicago Indian agency letters. And the Winnebago Indians, along with the another tribe name. But long story short, one tribe was cool with the YT folks, the other tribe wasn't. They was trying to use the tribe that was cool with them to be like a buffer class in between the two. But then all of a sudden, that buffer Indian group started saying, "Look, man, the Winnebagos is about to come fuck y'all up, and we ain't about to do nothing. We might fuck you up too. We might just join them and fuck you up just as well." Next thing you know, they writing at the agency, Indian agency. Y'all think we can get a treaty out here and get some troops out here? Maybe we get some troops on the perimeter. These niggas would be cool. We need somebody out here, nigga. Y'all ain't gonna let us just sit out here by ourselves. Yeah, that's exactly what they was doing. Calling for backup like bitches. Okay? You're gonna settle in some place that you can't defend yourself, and now you gotta call in the goddamn army for backup and ask about treaties because you a hoe. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, let me get out these niggas, man. I said the French didn't want to smoke either. They tried the diplomatic approach. Exactly. Yeah. A lot of them defeated us mostly through deception and mass immigration. That's going to be my main talking point about that period. About how did the Indians lose their land? It was through mass immigration and deception via paperwork, treaty deception, law deception, and then as well as mass immigration, bringing tons of them motherfuckers in after 1870, 1880. Ellis Island picking up like crazy. So yeah. Let me finish reading this here real quick. So the Ogeechee and marched upon the banks of the Savannah. Savannah being named apparently by the Yamacraws. I'm gonna show you. I might show you that. I found that in the newspapers. Not to say that the newspapers is correct, but the Georgia Indians, whom no preceding exploring expedition had molested, treated the Spaniards with kindness and warm hospitality. At Catapachique, where the expedition had arrived, were seen a people richer, better dressed, and more amicable than any upon the march. The Indians of Georgia and Florida at this early period lived in the same whatever. So as you can see here, he had learned from an Indian slave. So you got to wonder, where did that slave come from? But here you got talks of Indian slaves. You also got talks in here of Indians being cool with Spaniards in the Florida area. Again, what is a Seminole? They want you to believe it was a red man Indian connecting up and hooking up with the black African slave. That's what they want you to believe. But you can easily tell, and then they want you to ignore the Spaniards who had been there. Ignore the Spaniards who had been there and just think that there's a red Siberian there all of a sudden and black Africans. Well, what happened to the Spaniards? Well, we see here. We see an Indian slave. Is that one of those runaway slaves you said was a Seminole? Even though that story's been changing. That story about a Seminole's been changing. In fact, I gotta show you this. Now that we on that topic, I gotta show you this. Where's it gonna be? What's a good word to type in? Seminole. What was I saying? Seminoles are. Damn, I just lost my whole train of thought. Um. Oh, yeah. Let's just do Seminole. Not that one. Looking for newspapers. Not this one. Not that one. Not that one. Not this one. Oh, you know what? I know what the word is. Wanderer. Let's see if it finds that in the newspaper. Oh, it can't read that from the newspaper? Ain't that a hoe? Ah, man, Seminole. Come on, man. Really? It should have been up here because I just recently found the shit. Okay. It said Seminole or Wanderer. What else did it say in there? It said, I think it was talking about the Yamasi. Good God. Yamasi. If I don't find it here in a second, I'm going to give it up. But basically, the story of a Seminole has changed. I mean, it wasn't in the newspaper. I think it might have been in a book. Um, Seminole. Yeah, it was in a book. It wasn't in the newspaper. Hmm. It would have been at the top. It should have been at the top because these are. Is it showing me recent? Yeah, recently added. It must not be reading the word Seminole out of there because sometimes these newspapers, it can sometimes read the print and search, and sometimes it doesn't. Let me do wander instead of wanderer. Maybe it'll read that. Wandering in the woods. It was talking about the Yamakra. Was it talking about the Yamakra? Man, I hate I'm not pulling it up, man. Let me just look at one other thing. I don't want to take that. It was in the newspaper. It was in the newspaper. If I'm not mistaken. Maybe not. Let me That's whack. That's whack. I'm gonna have to find it at some point, but okay. I'll leave it alone, y'all. But basically, Seminoles was it wasn't even called wanderers. They were called, I mean, they were called wanderers instead of runaway slaves. It says something different about their inception story, just slightly different than what they normally tell you. But apparently, I'm not gonna be able to find the shit right now, so fuck it, I guess. We're gonna move on to the next thing. We're gonna go back down to that Indian slavery thing here. It sucks though. Nigga try to make a good point. Where's my Indian slavery folder? Right here. Okay. So, um, we saw that there. So now let's see what we find here, as far as talking about Indians, either of some type of slavery. Okay. Now it says, I'm not sure what book this is. Let me see. I must not have saved that, but whatever. But he resolved that the infantry and his household should go along the coast of Havana, where as soon as he arrived and seen the desolation, let me just do this just in case. Soon as he arrived and seen the desolation of the town, he made donations to the inhabitants to repair their houses and their churches, which the pirates had destroyed. He afterwards ordered Juan de Anisco, who was very skillful in navigation, to arm two brigantines and go discover the coast of Florida. Going to discover the coast of Florida. I kind of know what it is now. So they're in the Bahama area, the Caribbeans area, and so now they're sending one of these Spaniards up to go discover the coast of Florida. And it said, and observe its rivers and inhabitants. Inesco obeyed, and after having sailed during 2 months along many parts of the coast, he returned with an exact account of the things which he had seen, and brought with him 2 men of the country. That's why I saved it. He stole 2 people. Now that's not a lot, but it's something, right? De Soto, satisfied with his diligence, sent him back with orders to see where an army could land. Anesco again set out to visit the coast and notice the places where they could land. But in the second voyage, from which he returned with 2 other Indian men, it happened that he and the companions, I guess when I put up a peace symbol, it does that. That's weird. And watch, it ain't gonna do it every time. The shit never does it if you want it to happen, right? That's how technology does. Like, nigga, what did I just do to make you do the shit? Whatever. Okay. India, other Indian man. It happened that he and his companions, having wandered from each of the deserted islands, before they could join each other, whatever. But as you can see, from the earliest times of Florida, they was scooping niggas away. Okay, not all of us, right? But some. So that means that yeah, some people should have this type of mixture or influence, right? Um, and as well as they were likely being enslaved as they took them. Let me get off of here. Let's go to another one. That was the history of Hernando de Soto. It looks like I went back and screenshot that to make sure. So this is the letter of Hernando de Soto. Let's see what they're talking about in here. It says, one Don Pedro Vizcaino, that's a voyager, whom his majesty made keeper of the swans, was a captive in this province. If he on whom this gift was graciously conferred had been more of a man, the Indians of AIS, Huacateca, and Giaga, and I looked up AIS before, I can't remember what it was in these areas. But we're gonna keep going with it because I don't want to go look it up right now. But I can't remember if they're north. It could be north, but it says, and their vassals would already have been subjugated, and that could be Florida actually, and even many of them made Christians. So yeah, right here, my bad. I just skipped the part because I was in my head thinking about this. But let's say the Indians of AIS, Guanateca, and Guajira in their vessels would already have been subjugated, and many of them made Christians. But he is a man of little ambition and capacity, so it is useless to him to have vain regrets. He understands well the language of AIS. I gotta figure out what this AIS is. I looked it up before. I can't remember. And the languages of other places mentioned, which are spoken as far as Mayaka. See how it says the. Let me do this. Like I'm supposed to be doing. Mayaka. Mayaka. Right. Anyway, and Mayawanka. Whoops. And Mayawaka. So you got Mayaka and Mayawaka. Obviously, it comes from the Mayans. Parts over against them towards the north. But I think that because of the order of Pedro Melendez to hang him in consequence of a falsehood that was raised against him and Domingo Ruiz, his complexion, no, I'm sorry, his companion, he was frightened and came to Spain with the news about Florida and would not go back again. If he did go back, it must have been to bring with him a son he had among the Indians, as he brought him here and never went there no more. And because of the unjust treatment of the interpreters, he desired not to go back, and as others of us have not, remaining as we are without pay to this time, for we came destitute. It gave us little wish of returning to Florida to serve without any recompense. The king of AIS and his king of you know what, AIS, I think it was over there in Spain. Now that I think about it, I think AIS is in Spain. And King of Jaga are poor Indians. No, I take that back. Because then he's talking about their poor Indians. So no, I can't remember what the hell AIS is. I could look it up. As respects for Earth. I know you said AIS. Let me look up what AIS is, man. Because I can't remember. AIS Indian. DeSoto, maybe. The AIS Indians were a warlike fishing-based tribe inhabiting Florida's coast. You know what? I do have them on a map somewhere. Let's see if I can't think of it in my head, but I'm just gonna type it. Let's see if my what you call it can pick it up. It didn't pick it up. I do have AIS on a map of Florida somewhere. Which map of Florida? I can't remember, but it is in, now that it said that, I do remember it's Florida. Let me go back up here. AIS inhabiting the Florida coast, Cape Canaveral to St. Lucie, who were first encountered by the Spanish expeditions. It might be Hernando de Soto map. They might be on there. Nah, but they're on some map that I've seen before. I've seen AIS before on a map. Let's say AIS Indian map. Notice how it shows it here. Ooh, is it on this one? That's one I always have. Is that where I saw it? No, I don't see AIS right here in Florida. But I have seen it somewhere. I have seen, let me go back real quick. I've seen it somewhere. You know what? Let me do this. I think it's on. It might be on this map right there. Right there for your boy. Your boy got so many things. Your boy got something on everything. Not really, but I got something on a lot. And I had to think about it. I'm like, I know I've dealt with this AIS before. What happened to the Indians that lived in Chicago? Did they leave or blend in with the Black French? What's up, Sunshine? They the Potawatomis did move, but that's the story. That's kind of the main story because they sold the land. I actually have a newspaper article where it says that the Potawatomis had sold the land of Chicago. Uh, in the newspapers that had talked about it. So I do know that that's what happened. Now, per their treaty, were they able to stay and some stayed while some left? Not 100% sure. Likely so, because there's a lot of niggas in Chicago today. So I would believe so. But I do know that some got moved at some point. But, typically they allow people to stay as well. They just don't tell us that shit. I did research on them while doing my BA. I was amazed. Oh, that's dope. That's dope. Yeah, I gotta do more history on some of these. Let me see this. You know what? I might have to. No, no, it doesn't. I was about to say I might have to apologize because when I click over here, it's not telling me who my friends are and it's saying follow back on everybody, but that's not true because when I click on my folks that I do know for sure, it doesn't say follow back because I'm already they folks. Nor does it say follow. Um, and maybe it doesn't say follow back. Maybe it says follow because I'm not seeing the word follow back. And I'm sure some of y'all. So somebody earlier who said that they follow me and I went off on you a little bit. I apologize. Maybe you do. Maybe you do follow me. Maybe this TikTok damn studio don't show that. It just says follow now. So that's kind of weird. So yeah, but AIS, and I think I have it in a couple of places, but that would be their territory. So that's where the area we're talking about. So let's go back to there, and they were taking Indians from there and all that, right? So let's get off of the letter Hernando de Soto, even though it says it many times in his shit, and let's go over to another one. It's the letter of Hernando de Soto again. I can't remember if we read this or not. Um, but let's read it. I think I read it earlier on the other live stream. Nicholas Antonio and Pinello both name it, but it does not appear that the former saw any of it, or the latter more than a part. That portion of the work containing an account of the religion, manner, and custom of the New World was termed apologetical because he must have endeavored to palliate in it some manners and customs which were used as a plea by the greedy proprietors of encomiendas. I know there was a lot. It says to press the crown to deprive the Indians of all civil rights and reduce them to the condition of absolute slavery. Okay. So that's why I wanted to show on that one. We're talking about slavery. The name of this one book, I'm not sure what the name of this book is. I should have saved that. But now we're gonna and I think they are saved. I just think I just didn't save it because typically what I did when I read these books and do screenshots is I'll screenshot the name of the book, the cover of the book, and then I'll do my screenshots throughout the book. Well, my issue that I found that I didn't do when I was saving all of these receipts is I would put a receipt in a certain folder and forget to put the book title next to it. So then I got to open it up and whatever. But we're going to go through some other passages from books that I had to translate. So they're really old and they're talking about the Indians. Now, this is Christopher Columbus right here. Okay. And it says, and so he built a small fort out of stone. Let me do this real quick. And so he built a small fort out of stone and wood with the will of the cacique and with the help of his vassals. Said in it, he left 38 Spaniards with Captain Rodrigo de Arana, a native of Cordoba, to learn the language and the secret of the land of the people while he went and returned. And it says here that let me erase that, make that thicker. Okay. It says here, this was the first house or settlement which the Spaniards built home in the Indies. He took with him Indians, 10 Indians, 40 parrots, many hotuillas or whatever rabbits, some yams or batatas, cotton, and other strange things different from those of Spain. So Christopher Columbus took 10 niggas back with him to Spain, along with some parrots, some cotton, some sweet potatoes, yams, and other strange things. He also, as well as much gold, which he gathered, carried back and forth in the caravels, as well as much gold. Okay. So again, our people were being shipped to many different places. When people say this, they mean this. They were going shipped to Spain. They were shipped from the Bahamas. They were shipped from Florida to the Bahamas. They were shipped from Florida or the Bahamas to Africa sometimes, way later on, not in the beginning time. Um, our people were done pretty wrong. But not everybody. Again, you know what I'm saying? Everybody wasn't shipped to Europe. Everybody wasn't, right? But some people were. And having said farewell to the 38 companions who stayed there in place called Guanahani, he set out with his two caravels, and so with favorable winds, he soon safely arrived back in Spain. So he took 10 folks with him to Spain along with these other things. And these other things are literally, except for maybe the sweet potatoes, are literally depicted on our folks. Like the parrot, for instance, right? The parrots, the cotton, and the gold. Well, let's look at this. Let's look at this real quick. Indian paintings and sculptures. Okay. I'm gonna switch to this mode on y'all ass for a moment as your boy does a little sparky spark, right? But yeah, we're gonna look at these because can we see all three things that Christopher Columbus said on any of these depictions of our people from other people? Right? These are Germans depicting our people. Likely melanated Germans at the time. I'm looking for a particular picture. I know I could find the same thing on one, but I'm trying to find one in particular. I must be passing it. Or it must not be in here. Why the fuck wouldn't it be in here? That don't even make sense, man. I hate when it just kind of sucks because I took so much time going through organizing all of these, and I know I put all that, and I know I would have put this in here, but I when you go and you click add to album, sometimes it wouldn't even add it, and you have to click it twice, and there was times that maybe I misclicked or whatever the hell. I can find it though, and I can find them holding it, but come on now. Let me find it for you. Let me open up where this is at, and it might be situated around this. It's gotta be showing all photos. Really, man? It's gotta be right here. Hold up. Here you go. Goodness gracious. All right. Now, Christopher Columbus said he saw or brought back with him a parrot, a parrot, right? Well, we see that a German drew a parrot next to an American. Now, why would he do that? Why would he do such a thing? Right? Cotton, like the cotton mantle clothes she has on. A cotton mantle draped over one arm, as they would usually explain it. And gold. Now she doesn't have on gold. She has on pearls. But there are some Indians that got the gold. Let's see if this person. Gold hoop earring, barely visible. Gold hoop earring, cotton mantles. They just don't have a parrot on them. All right, they just ain't got a parrot, but they got a lot of the same things. Right. Another American, red, white, and blue, and amber feathers on their face. Pearls in the ears. Now, for those who don't know the significance of the pearls, let me do that for you real quick. So you got many different passages about these pearls. Let's do this. Let me make it to where I can get my markup on. So right here, it says right here, in some in some provinces, the ladies wore long strings of triple and quadruple rows of pearls round one of their necks, in which they slung over their left arm. There were old men who comfortably clothed in youth and were and they wore cloaks. What's a cloak? What's a cloak? A cotton mantle. What is a cloak? Cloak, clothing. Oh, they wear a cloak over their shoulders. Not necessarily have to have a hood. Isn't that pretty damn funny? Ain't that what they was kind of doing over there? Oh, let me make sure before skins of the shoulders, blah 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 blah. Yeah. So let's go back to some of these. I got some in the same thing. They wear cloaks, similar to that somewhat kind of cloaked over his one shoulder, right? Let's go to some others. She has her cloak draped or her thing draped over her legs. I can't show her body because she's kind of topless there. That's not him. Him right here. Him right here. He's got his red cloak along with his pearls. I should have been showing that on the last one. My bad. Pearls in his ear, right? Even the man has pearls. She has her cloak, her cotton mantle or cloak. She has pearls around her neck, pearls in her ears, pearls on her arms, right? So the cloak is almost like a blanket, exactly. And she's got her dude behind her looking like Chris Rock. He's got the cloak around him or cotton mantle and the gold crown with the gold in his ears. But that's not us. Actually, my bad. That's not us. That's the African. This is us over here. He has triple rows of pearls in the feathers. My bad. He also has a cloak or a mantle. No, that might be the white T dude's mantle. Here's us right here. Turban on. Don't always be sitting. We're not always depicted with turbans, but some people might have been on that shit. Cotton bottoms, gold arms. Two rows of pearls around her neck, gold sash looking thing, gold crown looking thing, gold amulet like these gold amulets with pearls that's looking like they're encrusted with pearls. Pearls in the earrings around the neck, goldish thing, all that stuff. cotton cloak or mantle, right? So it's not a coincidence that the Germans literally wrote and drew these people the way the Spaniards and the French seen them, right? Because people will try to say these people didn't go to America and actually see the people. They just drawing stuff out of whatever. That's our folks right there. Notice the woolly hair, the pearls around the neck, the pearls in her ears, the cotton mantle still. Mm-hmm. Him over here, he doesn't have cotton mantle, but he still has pearls around the neck. Okay, so quit playing with us. That we are not the description of these folks. Some of the same ones: gold earrings, hoop earrings, pearl earrings. They could choose between what they felt like. Why would they draw that if it wasn't there? You realize you don't have to draw an earring. Like, you don't have to draw the earring. It's such a minor detail. You can literally leave it out, right? But I'm saying that to say it must have been a prominent detail with the Indians because they made sure to keep the shit in at every place that they do. And not only in color photographs, but when you go to photographs from us from old times in Virginia in black and white kind of photographs, they still put the damn pearls in the ears. They must have been prominent. You could easily leave that out. You could easily be like, nigga, I'm not putting that in there. You know how much more time it's gonna take for me to draw a pearl earring on these niggas? Mm. Mm. That means it had to have been a prominent thing, so much so that they're like, man, look, every time I see these niggas, they dripped in goddamn pearls and gold, nigga. Every time I see these niggas, and you see it right there, right? Every time I see these niggas, they dripped in pearls in her ear. That one doesn't have it, but it might be just darkened out. But they was trying to put it on them, right? Best Virginia, right? 1703. Think about that date right there. And they threw the pearls in there. Big pearls. Because that's what we wore, right? And we have more passages. Everybody was trying to come get these damn pearls. This is still the history of Hernando de Soto. She whilst the lady of Catafachique, not a Catafachique, this is Cafachique, was speaking to Soto, she unstrung one after another large pearls from a chain, which made 3 tours around the neck, and descended to her waist. Then she made a sign to Ortiz to take them and give them to the general, but he showed them to her by presenting them to him herself. Her pearls would receive a new luster. She said to him, the modesty of persons of her sex forbade her this liberty. Soto knew that what she said replied to her family and really enhanced the value of her pearls, and blah blah blah, and gave the pearls to the general, whatever. So these pearls were a thing, and DeSoto was also taking these pearls as well. Let me see. Look at this. Okay, yeah, let's read this one. Let me give him a little highlighter out here. So this one right here, I'm going yellow. It says there were all sorts of pearls in abundance in this place. Let's see. Afterwards, she sent word to the Spaniards that at the end of the villages at the temple where were interfered or whatever, the most distinguished persons of the place, there were all sorts of pearls in abundance. That they might take as many of them as they thought proper, that if they wanted more, they would find some at a league from the quarters in the capital of the country. that this town, the resident of her ancestors, had a temple where they would see a great quantity of pearls, which she abandoned to the discretion of the general and his troops, and that if they were not satisfied with that at all, they could even have more of them by means of the fishing that was practiced in the country. We was practicing fishing for pearls. Obviously, we had to get them some kind of way, right? And you got to think about it. They had tons and tons and tons and tons of pearls. Now, did they have oysters everywhere? I guess so. Maybe so. Maybe they had oysters everywhere. Maybe that's why some of y'all girls always gotta act like you gotta get some goddamn oysters. I don't know. That's what they be ordering when they be going out with them sometimes. I don't eat no. I don't eat oysters. But these girls be eating oysters, so y'all was probably fucking them up back then too and getting them pearls. I ain't mad at you. They probably didn't cost $28 a plate back then either. But okay. This news consoled that it really be like in the 30s. Sorry, y'all. Y'all know what I'm doing. I said this news consoled. So whatever. I'm gonna find y'all another one though here because there's one that I'm really looking for. Westworld, so many pearls. So Havana was known. Basically, this is talking about them taking a bunch of pearls. The Spaniards rejoiced that there were so many pearls of wealth that they found here. More than 1,000 measures of pearls. They examined 20 measures and took only 2. With them as many as of the seed pearls to Havana. I wonder what a seed pearl is. Can you grow pearls? Huh? Maybe. Maybe not grow, but something. Where their value was known. In fact, general, whatever. Okay. So the pearls was a thing. This right here will tell you that the ladies wore quadruple rows of pearls around their neck. I think we saw that. And then this is this discovery of California. So now we've moved coast. Okay. The sea expedition from California brought pearls of rare value from the unknown coast, and strange stories were blah blah blah. Now I didn't go too far into that because they didn't talk too much else about it, but there was pearls over on the west coast too. Let me see here. The sea expeditions, pearls, the story induced by the reports. Thought I might have said something else in there. This is the page that I translated. So when I translate, this would be what I would translate, right? I would take this from the Library of Congress, put it over here. Now, what do they talk about over here? I haven't read this in a while. Let's see. Amazons. We're talking about the Amazons, I guess. Maybe. We'll see. For there was a strong current that carried away the canoes. They go about naked except in times of war, festivals, and dances. At those times, they wore mantles. They were wearing mantles too. The Amazons apparently were wearing mantles also of cotton, very fine feathers, and large headdresses. They wore girdles and conchas that covered their shame from the waist to the knee, like skirts, like little skirts. It says if they were virgins, they wore red sashes of cotton with herbs sewn into the fabric. This was for them, this was for when they had their purgation, or I guess that means your period, right? For before that, they went about naked. And when the father, no, that's not your period. That's when you have your first, that's when you, what do you call it? When you turn like 11, 12, 13, your puberty, purgation. I'm guessing that's what puberty means. So as soon as you hit puberty, but before that, you would be naked. After puberty, you would try to cover your shame. Nothing to be ashamed about. You can be uncovered over here all you want to. But anyway, this was for naked. And when the fathers wished to marry them to relatives or friends, they celebrated it like a wedding feast. Okay. They had a king or lord who oversaw hunting, fishing, and sowing, uh, ordering each one what to do. They stored grain and roots in public granaries of those of the king, who then distributed them to each family according to their needs. Okay, now these are just kind of supposed to be looking at slavery. I don't know. No, no, no. This is supposed to be talking about pearls. They gave themselves much to pleasures. Their wealth was pearls. I see right here. Um, that's why I was like, I thought this was about pearls. Their wealth was pearls and many beautiful shells, from which they made fine adornments. They had stones of many colors. So now you think about it. We were doing like the way y'all wear stones today, and I used to be a big person that wore stones all the time. I had amethyst stones a lot, citrine, all kind of ones. Um, they had stones of many colors, very bright. They looked like flames of fire. They took them from the nest of very large sea nails. They adorned themselves with necklaces and collars, and they placed around the neck, arms, and legs fashioned. So many different things and many different passages will talk about those pearls from different explorers. And here's another passage in a Hopewell mound. So if that's not enough proof for you about the pearls, let's see what they found in the mounds when they went digging. It says one group of Hopewell people in Hamilton County, Ohio, collected then and disposed of 48,000 pearls. Okay, let me do it like this. 48,000 pearls in an artifact deposit that was later covered by the Turner Mound. Archaeologists excavating the Hopewell site in the 1880s found 100,000 pearls. Some were inset into bare canine tooth buttons or applied to copper ornaments. Most had been drilled. Uh, Where'd you get a drill from? Now you can make a rudimentary kind of drill that's hand powered if you really wanted to, but I think they might have had a little something else, you know. But hey, somebody had to use something to make them old world buildings, right? They didn't make them bitches by hammer and chisel like they want you to believe. But okay, drilled possibly perhaps with a hot copper wire and strung as necklaces or sewn onto clothing. Now, this is from the Ohio Archaeology Society, and these people are still finding. Well, I say still. This was 1880s, but they were finding pearls all over the place. Well, it's not a coincidence. Now, you know who is not seen wearing pearls historically? Like, if you looked up photos of Native American tribes, nobody has pearls like that. I would have thought that is, but now it looks like just a little hoop. Let's go to the images. No pearls. Not really cotton mantles. It's like some weird shit. That looks AI. That's real, but that isn't pearls. That's like wooden beads and shit. Um, that's not pearls. Um, I don't know if that's supposed to be pearls or not, to be honest with you. But you're not going to see many of these fake folks. Now let's even go look at some, because we're also talking about the Florida area. So let's look at some Seminoles, some modern day Seminole photographs. Excuse me, the photographs. Hmm. from the Gilcrease archives. I say modern, but it was really like the mid to late 1800s, so not too modern. From a little Seminole folder. Now, you got, excuse me, you got your melanated Seminoles over here, right? Got your melanated Seminoles. They covered up a lot. They may not have did the pearl thing. But let's take a look at the well, I take that back because they did have, and I don't know if those are pearls or not, but they did have tons of strings of beads around their neck. I forgot about that. That was actually their thing. To be honest, that's their whole thing. I completely forgot. So yeah, historically, we got this shit on. They probably copied. Look at this. Look at that person sitting there with all them beads around the neck. Many of them do. Some of them don't. The women for sure. Now these are supposed to be two, I think, Seminole women. Obviously, sorry, y'all. I'm almost done with my little my little joint. Did not quit coughing it out here. But we don't see pearls around these pasties, right? And who are these women? They said these are I'm sorry, they are Native American Choctaws. I'm sorry, that's what they was. Now these are your Seminoles. Now they are wearing some. They're looking like they're wearing our garments. They're looking like they're trying to copy us. But those also could be. No, that's not the what you call it family. Now here's some Seminoles that are non-melanated in the Gilcrease archive. None of them have on beads. Not to say it may not be the male's thing to do that, but these will be the Seminoles. These will be your red men, because if we're gonna go based off of photographs, and we're gonna go based off of the photographs that they have of these people. The only other people that I've ever seen on these Seminole photographs is these folks and our folks. So there is no third Siberian folk during this time when they're taking these photos. Let me see, when did this photograph taken? Do I have the info on that date? I didn't take the information, the photograph of the information. Let me see if I copy this and if I Google it, if it'll come right up. I would like to know the date on that. Came right up. So y'all can see where I got it. 1850 to 1900. Like I told y'all, but that's kind of a long thing. Like you ain't got an exact kind of time, at least a 2-year span or something. Like damn, 50 years? You don't know? Yeah, I guess they don't know what date other than 1850s to 1900s. And again, you're not gonna see anything but Spaniards and Chinese. You see some Chinese. What you don't see is the now. You would think that that's the one, but that's like a real, like this Asiatic is a different Asiatic from the Native American Asiatic, right? He's almost too Chinaman looking, right? In order to pass for one of them. Uh, but when you look like through this archive, these are the kind of people that you see. Um, are folks and these kind of folks. And again, like I've said, the Spaniards, and we know we just read a bunch of Spaniards books who were in the area of Florida talking about what the fuck they saw. So what happened to these Spaniards? They called them the Red Men now. What happened to them? Shit. Just go to the Seminole website. Shit. Easily find them niggas quick. Watch. Seminole. Seminole Tribe of Florida. Let me see if I can see several of them. Government Tribal Council. Where'd they go? There they go. There they go right there. Spaniard. Spaniard, 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 mixed Spaniard, possibly. Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. So again, and think about this. That nigga don't look like them Siberians, right? Don't look like no Siberian. Look like a Spaniard. She don't look like a Siberian. Mm-mm. Look like an Arab mixed kind of Spaniard, right? He don't look like a goddamn Siberian. Looks like a normal YT man, kind of Spaniard. That's what you really kind of look like. Mm. Your boy back. Yeah, he don't look like a. So you got to think. This is one thing I started to think about. Let's do this. Let's do this. Pull up this map so I can show you instead of just tell you. So you got the visual with it right here. So let me mark it up. And really, I want to see the whole thing. I want to see the whole United States. Hold up. On that type of map. Library of Congress, Indian Territory map. All right, all right. So let me get a screenshot of this so I can mark it up, give you an idea of what I'm talking about. Okay, back out of that. All right, all right, all right. All that just to do this. So I want you to think about this. So when it comes to lookership, what you'll start to residual smoke. Got it. All right. What you'll start to figure out is people in this area who pretend to be Indian in non-recognized tribes or recognized tribes look like Spaniards. Is it a coincidence that the Spaniards used to be all up in this zone? Because what I find different is when you tend to look at Indians who pretend to be us in this zone, they look more YT. Why would that be the case? Well, that's where they landed first for a while. The English and them first was melanated, but still, that East Coast got hit up north before we likely got hit down south with a lot of them YT NPCs. But typically when you look at like the Algonquins, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's test the theory out. Algonquin Indian tribe. Thank God for voice text getting better than what it used to be. I thought they had a current day tribal website. Maybe I need to look up the Iroquois. Iroquois. I'm basically trying to do what I just did with the what you call it and look at the current council. Haudenosaunee Confederacy, I believe it is. Yeah. Government, council, minutes, and agendas, current clan mothers and chiefs. No photographs. Ain't that a hoe? But you got a mixture of like your Canadian-ish like Siberian, which that phenotype didn't exist down there in the Floridas that we just seen, right? We didn't find a person that looked quite like that. A little more Asiatic, a little Siberian. It's hard to tell with that one. He's an off one. That guy's obviously a YT, right? And they're always going to be creeping in, many of them. Let's look at some other one. And it's hard to tell what the hell he is. I mean, you want to say you want to peg him as a Mexican at first because of weird look of him, whatever. But I don't think so. I think if you take them shades and stuff off, he's probably just a normal YT. Let me see if I can find any of the photographs of people on this hoe. At all development plans means join on about us, who we are. You ain't gonna show me. I know we put our pictures under the who we are. Why would we do that? The League of Nations, influence of democracy, contact us, news and events. Let me see your news and events page. Maybe you got something going on like events. Oh, a video gallery. Yeah, there we go. Hold up. What you got up in here? Okay. Let's see what one of these is about. All right, so here's a supposed likely one. I'm pretty sure she claims to be a Haudenosaunee or a goddamn Iroquois. That's very different from the Spaniards we saw down in Florida. It's very pasty, right? Very honey boo boo ish, mama looking ish, right? Uh, yeah, she on that whole thing. So yeah, she damn sure must claim to be one. Let's see if we can get another look of another person. She must be one too, Miss. Come on there, y'all. What kind of Indian is this lady? What kind of Indian? And what did I tell y'all? Look at these folks. I know y'all can't hear it. I gotta transfer it over to my what you call it to hear it. I don't really care to hear it. Look at these folks. What did I say they look like? YT folks up there in the north. That's not a coincidence. And then you got your. So let's go back to the map. Over off in here, you got a bunch of mixed bloods, a bunch of people that may have mixed in our bloodline. You know, like your current Choctaw and Chickasaw chiefs, got a little slight melanation left over after 4 generations of being washed out. Some of them. Many of them just assume our identities and just kind of out there, but some of them have mixed in. Like in Oklahoma, you'll see mixtures of us with them, as well as Mexicans that claim to be a lot of Indians up in that zone, up in Oklahoma. So it's a mixed bag in Oklahoma, especially when they done brought in the Cheyenne, the Arapahoes, all that other bullshit. It's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag in Oklahoma, but then you got the West Coast. On the West Coast, you're gonna see Spaniards in many cases, and a lot of Asiatics. A lot of Asiatics, actually. Let's throw that out there. You don't see a lot of Asiatics in the Southwest. I mean, in the Southeast down in Florida. Now, we're going to pull up one real quick. We're going to pull up the Miwok. So you don't see in the Seminoles down here in Florida, you see tons of Mexicans, some Asiatics, most, and then you got some black folks and maybe a few white folks trickled in there. Up here in the north, you're going to see a bunch of white folks. Couple of them Canadian looking, Siberian, Hawaiian looking folks, and shit like that. So they're looking a little bit more Asiatic up there, but not that much. Over here on this side, yeah, Asiatic. Because what's coming from this way? What's coming from that way? Asians. It's right on that other side, right? So that's why when we go and look up a tribe like Scar changes like the Miwok Indians. Now, let's first of all get the reminder of what the inhabitants of California, according to the French uh, 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 Voyager Lewis Course, remember this is what they look like according to him in 1822. So in 1822, that's what they drew. Okay, they whitewashed it in another book in 1911, 1908, somewhere around this. It's called The 100 Years History of San Francisco. This is called something else. Um, this is the book by Lewis Corus, The Voyage Picturesque. I'll do whatever, whatever. He made voyages all over the different places. One place he did hit was the coast of California by Louis Corus. Okay, and they even tried to whitewash that. Look at that! I found it on the website looking like that too. Like, where did y'all get these, man? Who's redrawing this shit, man? Again, this is how it really looked before they changed it one time and then whitewashed it even further. And you might think that means nothing, right? Hey, Sam, what's wrong with a little bit of whitewash? You know what I'm saying? It's not like it's going anywhere official. Well, here's the National Parks Services.gov site, and that's what they chose to use. Now, the government site would be pretty official. I would want to believe that they would do some official research to find the original copy, but maybe they don't have time. They're the government. I don't know. So, but this is where the Miwoks look like today. Very Asiatic of all types. You can't even tell. How would you? How would you know that? What is it? He could be a Chinese mixed with a East Indian from over there. One of them Hindu stands. How would you know what that looked like? We done been through this many times. I don't know what some of these folks are so heavily mixed with shit. It's hard to tell a goddamn thing or what they are. He definitely looks like one of them like British dudes with them teeth. Oh, ha ha, fa fa fa. I can't do the British thing. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't even, the little buck tooth British dude. You know what I'm saying? Fish and chips type nigga. There she goes with her Chinese YT. Like she could be Chinese and Italian. What does a Chinese and Italian look like mixed together? You know, is it that much of a nuance of a difference? It is. I believe so. I believe a Chinese mixed with a Chinese person mixed with Italian is going to come out looking different from a Scotland mixed, a Scottish person mixed with an Italian. I mean, mixed with an Asian or a China. You know what I mean, right? This lady, I'm all confused. I don't know what the hell she is. Okay, I tried many times to pick her phenotype apart. I've failed. She looks like she's just Italian to me, to be honest. A YT Italian, Arab, actually, Arab Italian. What does an Arab and Italian mix look like? And how much different does an Arab and Italian mix look from an Italian and a Chinaman, and an Italian and a Scottish person? Have you ever even thought about these type of mixes? You know what I'm saying? That's how they can fool us, is what I'm trying to get to. You don't even have to think about it. They've thought about it. YT folks have thought about it. Oh, these groups of mixes, niggas will get confused with and think they're them. Yeah, we'll put them over there in America. Yeah, people like this, very confused. Now that's one of those he, she's, and nothing wrong with that. Do your thing. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I'm trying to peg that one. Spaniard mixed with, what's a Spaniard? A Mexican Spaniard. Like what type of Mexican Spaniard? Like a Chino mixed with a goddamn, I don't know, man. These people are so heavily mixed and different, and none of these people look like they're the same. Like when we look at Indians of each other caliber, you be like, man, look, you look like you could be my folks. Like when I look at Wani, I be like, well, Wani look like she could be my folks. Nikki, she looked like she could be my folks. Yeah, we heavily separated in lines as cousins. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, us, you know, mixing with each other. We're nowhere near the ancestral threshold, if you will, but we can still tell that that's our folks, right? These people don't look alike. Bitch, that ain't your. This ain't your folk. Y'all ain't got no similarities, except for the fact that y'all are very pale, and you might have a little bit of that. And then look at this dude right here. He looked like a little Russian or something. And they all came from that coast. In fact, a lot of people came from the coast. From the coast, like I was. This is all in that same area. So remember that a lot of this was what America looked like pre Louisiana Purchase. Where now, just because it says all New Spain all up and through here doesn't mean that they was all up and through there. They just claim big swaths of areas as they were doing their navigation and map making and cartography before other people did, but doesn't mean that they were all up in here. Um, but it's still noted that they were dominant to a degree in the area. But right here, this is from the San Francisco Museum.org talking about the same Miwok Indians or that coast. And it tells you right here that three great powers, Spain, England, and Russia, sought dominion on the Pacific coast and regarded San Francisco as the key to success. Spain won, and to that fact we owe the peculiar richness of our background. Reading the history of the founding of San Francisco, there is always a sense of pageantry hovering over the page. Those Spanish soldiers, those Franciscan padres did things in a ceremonious and gallant fashion. We have never quite lost their manner. It is to be hoped that we never shall. But either way, this was the history of San Francisco. Like, that's how deep I be going through shit. I was like, now where can I find a bunch of shit about San Francisco and the coast and stuff? I was learning about the Miwok Indians and shit. Here I am on the San Francisco Museum website about the history of how San Francisco came to be. That's how your boy is just gonna be everywhere with it. But the main things to take from it is that Spain, England, and Russia, but also China or Asia, right? Got to add them in there. They didn't mention them for whatever reason, but we know they did, right? So that's at least 4 phenotypes coming on over that coast, right? You can damn near see it in here. Like, what do they say? Asia, Russia, Spain, maybe he the Russian, uh, Spain, and Asians. You know what I'm saying? Basically, they all damn near in this photo. If not, they in the damn tribal council members. I think that's the same folks. Oh yeah, there goes another. There goes a Spaniard right there. He didn't make the group cut photo. That's why I took a photo, a screenshot of him. I was like, oh, there is a Spaniard. So the all I'm getting to mainly with this is it should be starting to make sense that these people can't, just like we have migration patterns hidden in our genealogy, they have migration patterns hidden in their voyages. Their voyages sent them to that coast. They mostly stayed in that coast. They all conspired on the east, west, north, south coast to act like Indians, to pretend and be tribes everywhere. And they all joined, but they all forgot to do something to mix it up a little bit more. You see what I'm saying? Had you mixed it up a little bit more, I maybe not have put together that it's only Spaniards in the motherfucking Seminoles. Why is it only Spaniards in the Seminoles? Bitch, because we know why it's only Spaniards in the Seminoles. Only Spaniards was coming up to the goddamn voyages, you know what I'm saying? To the motherfucking coast. Why is it a bunch of YT people on the East Coast at the top Northeast? Because a bunch of white folks was coming up in that bitch, starting goddamn colonies. Why is it a bunch of goddamn Asiatics on the goddamn West Coast? Because goddamn Asia's right there on the other side of the West Coast. It's all making sense, right? I know I'm going crazy, but it all makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Just like when you look at my ancestry, my shit shows all my people living in Louisiana, Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi area for the most part, and after 1830, they're all in Oklahoma. And they're only mixing amongst themselves mostly. No YT mixes nowhere in there, especially after 1830. The only so-called YT I supposedly have right now is Thomas Love, which obviously I just think somebody assumed his identity. But regardless of that, another big reason why nobody else mixed with each other, because it was only black folks out there, so-called. We had black-owned towns, 52 of them, probably more than that. And so yeah, we in towns with just ourselves. Then no, we ain't mixing with it. I keep telling everybody this whole ethnogenesis shit is so stupid, because it's not until 1813 where people even started coming into the area where my folks was at. So all that slavery shit and all that mixing, that if it even happened, was happening over there in the goddamn colonies from maybe 1600 to goddamn 1820. Then when they started pushing towards my people into the areas of Alabama, Mississippi, and all that shit, it's until 1830, nigga, we took off to Oklahoma. Some of us, many stayed, but some of us went to Oklahoma. So maybe other people could have mixed, but we wasn't mixing, and I'm sure our people still wasn't mixing, right? People wasn't just mixing with YT folks like that. In many cases, you couldn't without road game shots and all that stuff. But if you tried many times, maybe I guess you can get one through. I don't know, But for sure, our folks, we went straight up to Oklahoma, so we only had to deal with so-called YT folks for about 10, 20 years in our same zone. And then when we get up there, we had to deal with some of the YT folks that, came up there too, as well as eventually your Comanches and Kiowas and shit. But even they don't come up there, because let me explain this. At least that's why I could talk for shut up sometime. I hate when it does that. It keeps giving me that one. Come on, man. Showing photos. Here we go. Okay. So let's pay attention to these dates. OklahomaHistory.org. Okay. 1830. Indian removal. All right. So what did Oklahoma? My bad. I ain't been looking at none of the chats, y'all. I just been cooking. I'm gonna get caught up on y'all here in a little bit. My bad. Indian territory during the initial removal, 1830. All right, so we're looking at Cherokee, Choctaw, Seminole, Creek, Choctaw land, right? Well, what happens in 1855, 10 years prior to the end of slavery? The Chickasaw Nation and the Choctaw Nation, let me just do this real quick. I like doing this. This shit's so cool to me. So the Choctaw Nation and Chickasaw Nation, which was the whole thing, this whole bottom area before, has now been changed to a smaller area. But now you have this thing called the least district. The least district. Now, what is this least district? Well, it was known as, it was Choctaw Chickasaw land. It's still Choctaw Chickasaw land. We leased the land to somebody, to the government. Hence the name leased district. We lease the land and we get landlord rental payments on said land. So that's what goes towards some of the money that they get from the government too. But really they sold, they leased it. Yeah, they leased it. So now what What did the government do with that land? Now that's 1855. My people still wouldn't be mixing with anybody. It's still much just black folks there, and maybe some YT folks, maybe some YT folks, the ones that came like Basil LaFleur, fucking Adair, fucking um, a few others, hoe ass niggas. Uh, but so we leased the land, so we would have been around them for all. That'd have been who was there now. Now, let me get this off of here. Cancel that. After that, it's 1889 because how many times I got to tell y'all? The Asiatic folks and the Siberians didn't get here in mass until the late 1800s, 1880s, 1890s. Most of them after 1900, to be honest. Just a few trickled in during the late 1800s. Now, that lease district looks like this. Now, who did they put on the lease district? They have now included Kiowas, Comanches, Apaches, Cheyenne and Arapahoes, Wichita and Cato, but Cato's cool. I have to look into the Wichitas. Never really looked into them. I do know the Cheyenne and Arapahoes are some bullshit. We can prove that with just by looking. That's the one with the census with the funny sounding names. Funny names, not sounding, but the funny made up names, like Bad Looking Man or Driving Slowly or Crooked Neck and stupid names like that they just threw on papers. And then the Kiowa, Comanche, and Apache. Now, some of those could have been real at some point because James Brown said he was Apache. His folks was Apache. But some of these people are not. I do have some of their census records as well. And some of them, they did not get their names changed. And having their names not changed allowed me to look up the origin of their last names via forebears. So I can see how a lot of these people were coming from Philippines, Hindustan, China, Spain, a lot of Arabs. And that would have been the people they started bringing over, but after 1889. So I'm saying all that to say, we ain't mixed with a bunch of Siberians. We ain't mixed with a bunch of YTs. We ain't even been around them niggas like that long, to be honest. And when them niggas did make their way to this state, do you think they was over there in the nigga towns? Hell no. Hell to the no. Nowhere near the nigga town. Okay, I'm over here looking at the see what y'all comments saying over here, man. Let me catch up. I ain't gonna scroll all the way up, man. I'm gonna scroll up a few scrolls. Plus, I don't like to get too into sometimes when I'm too late. Some of y'all might be talking about something that I either done already talked about and I forgot, or y'all might be going back and forth with somebody else, and then I be done yelled at somebody or clown somebody, and I was wrong for it. Some of them scary looking at North American Mediterranean. She look Japanese. They just a mixed bowl of soup. Yeah, it must have been when I was talking about the Miwok. They called them generational mestizos for a reason. Very ambiguous looking people. Ugh, yeah, I can tell. Like I don't want to say ugh. Some of them, you know, I ain't saying they look crazy, but some of them do. Just a whole lot of pale. Exactly. Wow. The slaves versus the sultans. Research the connection between Russian Creoles and Alaskan natives, aka Euro Asians. Yeah, at some point I'm gonna end up getting on to some of these other folks. They got free land and money to pretend. Yeah, exactly. And and some of these like fake tribes that aren't even barely state recognized. They don't even. This is why they like. This is what I said. They play games with the words. They don't even have reservation land. But what these whole ass niggas will literally do. I was playing video of this one time, and I wish I had a clip that I can think of to show you. It was about the Modocs. I might have one. I'm gonna look down. But like, these niggas bought land and called it a reservation. I said, nigga, you don't reserve yourself some land, nigga. Stupid ass niggas. Are y'all trying to play me like I'm fucking stupid, nigga? That's not no reservation if you bought it, nigga. That's a normal consumer purchase. What the fuck you trying to play me, nigga? But that's what they do. They buy some land, call it a reservation, pretend and do powwows on that bitch for the next 15 to 20 years, and then they'll start doing illegal gambling on that motherfucker until they get caught. Like the Mowa Indians out there, Choctaw Band of Indians, the Mowa Choctaw Band out there in Georgia, I think they did it or whatever. But yeah, these people are fucking crazy, man. Alabama didn't officially become a state until 1819. Yep, 1821st census is the one they did. We were the French in Louisiana, unfortunately. Yeah, they were melanated at first. At some point, the YT Cajuns and YT folks came up in there, late 1800s, early 1900s, Ellis Island shit. But yeah, a lot of it was melanated. So yes, I was about to get mad because you're not reading my comments. You gotta let your boy cook. Y'all gotta let your boy cook. And I know you just kind of being funny, but please don't hold me against it. Cause I got into it with somebody and they was mad and they said I didn't read their comments several times. They felt like I was uh, ignoring them, and then they said I was talking shit about them behind their back. I don't know how it went from that to that. I don't talk shit about people like that. I don't even be talking about people. Y'all know I be on here talking about the facts. You know what I'm saying? Unless somebody that says some shit about me, then I'm clowning your ass. Okay, I'm a damn sure clown. But talking especially people in the actual community. You know what I'm saying? I'm definitely not talking bad about people. But also remember that one, I'm always going to be cooking. I got 3 screens to look at. I'm also simulcasting on Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook now. Which Facebook usually don't give a fuck. Uh, and uh, and there's 2 chat windows open as well as my iPad, and I'll have to look at my iPad as well as sometimes look at the screen and sometimes look at the camera. So yes, if I miss a comment, hey, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Y'all still my folks. What the hell got the land dirt cheap? They lied, said that they were in it. WHT got the land. WHT. I'm not sure what WHT is, Sunshine. But you said they got the land dirt cheap and lied and said that they were Indian. Uh, but that sounds like the same MO I was just saying about the Moab being in there. Wow, you are serious? Is this Louisiana? They say that they got their land back for $1 or something and work if it's our land. Funny southern tribes, nations didn't even historically practice powwow culture in the South. That's what I've heard. And as I've looked through Voyager books and stuff like that, I haven't really seen much that I've read resembling a powwow. Now that I think about it, like them writing down, like, oh, when I seen them coming out dancing, they was stomping the ground, going in circles. I didn't see that. I haven't read that yet. Yeah, hasn't hit the book screen, the screens yet. They did the census. What's up, Mauritania? I didn't see you up in here. They did a census on the Indians in 1815. Before it was Alabama, it was under Mississippi. Yeah. I have. I've seen some census records from the earlier times. I have, and I want to say some were handwritten. Uh, I was saying the indigenous in Louisiana were mixing with the French. Yeah. Nicholas Du Chief Warhorse says in her video, in the video that I got of her, that Nicholas Ducree was a melanated French person. That's the only mix that they have in their genealogical line. And she said he's a melanated French. So yeah, no, they were definitely melanated. That's why I said that. White. I'm slow. And what did you say? You said, okay, so YT folks got the land dirt cheap. They lied and said that they were Indians. Yes. And now that we know, now at one point you would think, yeah, they're lying and saying they're Indians just for the erasure, which that is a big part of it. But now that we know that gambling can be utilized as another reason or motive for them to also perpetuate erasing us out, that just adds even more of a profit motive to blame them on why they're doing it. In fact, when I'm going through as I'm going through my research on the Yamasee, what I noticed on some whole shit is that they was doing the same thing. Not the Yamasees, but them the YT folks. They were creating tribes off of the Yamasee name. And I'm gonna find it here for you. That's the Clara Lupa shit. Clara Lupa shit. Can't see my eye. My what you call it? Okay, right here, right here. And is this the first one? Was instituted? Yeah, yeah. 1886. My bad, y'all. I know that's kind of gross. 1886. Okay. Now I was looking into the Yamasee. Now it says Yamasee tribe. Okay, so but it says the Yamasee tribe number 134 IORM. Typically it says that on all of these you're gonna see. So that's how you know I'm not dealing with the same Yamasee. What is this, right? Was instituted at Downington this afternoon by the officers of the Grand Council, who will confer the adoption degree on the charter members. In the evening, members of Onondaga tribe, number 83, like Onondaga Indians? Okay. Hold on. This light is bouncing off of the damn. The light behind me is bouncing off my iPad as I'm reading it, and it's blinding me. My bad. In the evening, members of the Onondaga tribe number 83, Coatesville, will take charge or the council room and confer the huntsman, warrior, and chieftain degrees on those members of new tribe entitled to the same. Now, I could have just left this alone when I first saw it. I was like, first of all, I'm still like, what is this Yamasee tribe number 134? Grand Council. Now, in my head, I already started thinking, is this a Masonic thing? Because the way they have the number 134 on there and Grand Council, I started thinking it, but it don't say that. So I was like, okay, let me just keep going. Maybe I'm tripping, right? Also, why is somebody using the name Yamasee if they're not the real Yamasee? But okay, maybe I'm tripping, right? Here's another one. Downington Redsmen. Well, they're talking about the Red Men. Huh. All right. Have furnished their wigwam. They're talking about wigwams. Okay. In cozy style on Thursday evening, April 15th, will hold their first council meeting therein when several pale faces will be adopted by Yamasee tribe. I'm still wondering, like, what is this talking about? You really kind of tripped me out right there when you talked about pale faces. Now I'm like, who's writing this? Is it a non-pale face? But okay. But then I found another one. They just kept going. Yamasee tribe number 134 IORM. That's why I said it like that, because I told you it usually is said that way. Of Downington made a friendly visit on Monday evening to the Onondaga tribe number 83 in Coatesville. As at this moment, I still was not sure. Like, what the hell is this? It didn't say anything about a Masonic thing, but I'm really thinking about it in my head. Because them numbers are typically large numbers. Masonic large numbers, such and such and such and such. It's always like I used to do heavy studying on the damn Masons, like way back in the day. So that's not one. This is just random. To red men, Reverend A.B. McCurdy of Downington will preach a sermon to the Yamasee tribe of red men of that place next Sunday morning. What the hell is this? Right? What in the hell is this? Well, let's keep going. Let me see what this is. This one ain't as telling, but they're talking about the Yamasee tribe. But this one ain't really got a bunch of good info in there. At the Downington, the stores and other places of business were closed nearly all day, and union services were held in the Methodist Church in the morning when Reverend Mr. Craven of the Presbyterian Church preached. A dinner was given to the members of the Baptist Church in Central Hall, and a neat sum was realized, which goes into the fund to help pay to put up the new church that society is erecting. The members of Yamasee Tribe number 314 IORM held a supper in the Masonic Hall. That's why I decided to read that. Now I'm like, Still, why would a Masonic lodge use the name of the Yamasee? Now, am I tripping? Are they pretending to be a tribe, or are they just using the Yamasee name to make fun and have a Yamasee name? Well, let's read this one. Let me get my little pointer ready. Boy, y'all be sticking around. I be keeping this shit going. I appreciate y'all, man. The attendance was very large, and there were present members of Yamasee Tribe of Downington. Now, I didn't say Yamasee Tribe number 134 IRM, but it did say of Downington, and we're talking about the same thing. Wawa Tribe of Pakesburg and the Christiana Tribe to see the secret work exemplified by the great chiefs. So you're stealing the name Yamasee Tribe for a Masonic lodge, and you're naming your people chiefs? Okay. Which was done in magnificent style. The speeches and remarks of the great chiefs were excellent, and the members of the order have learned much by them. Outside of the great chiefs' remarks, there were some very good speeches by past sachems. Benton Phillips, a sachem, Charles Reese, and William Brouchard, or whatever. It ain't Brouchard the way I know how to spell it, but that's what it looks like it's pronounced. And guests of Downington, Lee Moore and William Russell of Parksburg, John Robinson, District Deputy, Great Sachems, Brown of Christiana, George G. Myers, Thomas Wendell, Thomas whatever, and many others of Coatesville. The meeting was of most interesting, whatever. The main thing that stood out to me is not only are you utilizing the naming structure of an Indian tribe, but now you're utilizing the titles for whatever reason. Okay, well, let's go see what else I found. If much. 4 unknown colored tramps were unalived in a railway collision at Yamasee in South Carolina. I think they're talking about those real Yamasees right there. Notice the use of the word tramp, meaning animosity was applied to this statement. Why are you so mad trying to report on these colored folks in South Carolina area at Yamasee? Now, at Yamasee doesn't mean these people are, they're saying these people are Yamasee. Yamasee being used when they say at Yamasee is there is a town area called Yamasee. But it's still good to note that there were 4 colored women there in Yamasee. But okay, we'll keep going. Uh, this one I did not read, but main thing I wanted to show you on that is and what this kind of brought to light to me. This is happening in the 1800s. It's almost like the Masonic Lodge utilized, because there's one of them says it was the Fraternal Order, or not to say the Fraternal part, but the Order of the Red Men, along with the Yamasee tribe, number 134, whatever lodge. And I started to think, so was the Masonic lodges utilized in spearheading these fake tribes that we see today, which are now meaning, and what I mean by that is like, let's say this one particular town wants to be a, wants to fake the tribe, meaning, and that's not hard to believe because it was Masons who were just in 1866, 20 years prior to this. Okay, because this is 1886 on the screen. Just 20 years prior to this is when they rewrote all the treaties and started instituting African language and freedmen language in it. Prior to them, prior to then, prior to 1866, none of the treaties signed before said anything about slaves, black folks, Negroes, Africans, anything of the sort. It all gets instituted, and those who've seen my videos knows why. Because Albert Pike, who was an attorney, who was also a head Mason, who's the one that predicted the 3 world wars in the book Morals and Dogma, which he wrote, which these Masons go by like it's the Bible, and a lot of these politicians do too. He's the one that facilitated the signing of all of those treaties. In fact, he's the one that likely inputted the language of us being African in said treaties, because he was an attorney, which he would have been the one to draw up the contracts. A treaty is a contract. The people at the time that he got, the chiefs at the time of the 5 civilized tribes, he was only going after the ones, there's many chiefs, but he was going after those who were the YT ones that mixed in, who had heavily mixed back out, and who were also Masons. Greenwood, LaFleur, McIntosh, so on and so forth. Them fools. So he got them to get these treaties to go through. Now, 20 years later, we got proof that these people start utilizing our names as well, because it's the same Masons, right? That just instituted the same goddamn treaties that got us taken out. Now they're sitting around here making tribes under their lodges. You don't think they were instructed to do that by the same people who was doing this shit? These are the type of niggas that reenact shit all the time. These are the type of niggas that will reenact the whole Hiram Abyss, Biff, whatever, and a nigga get on his knees asking to have you seen the unalive or whatever, and you're supposed to not tell it. What they say, I will not tell the secrets of the such and such master, and stupid ass shit. Same niggas that do this type of shit, play games like that, pretending. Because when you pretend, typically there is an energy with that. Yeah, I mean, there's a energetic force you're giving to that type of ceremony, ritual, I should say. I know why they doing it, right? But it's still stupid. Stupid enough to do some ritualistic ass shit like that. So yeah, if they're willing to do pretend ass shit like that, which does have an effect. I will not discount the effect it does have, but it's still stupid. If they'll do something like this, yeah, they'll create fake tribes and spearhead the erasure, because they don't have to even continue to be part of those tribes. You just think about it like this. If I want to erase all these tribes, I got to replace all these tribes. Some will erase, but some will keep. We got to erase them. We have to first figure out what all the name of these tribes are, right? That's your whole Bureau of Indian Affairs. Same folks that done went around. I mean, well, really, it was the War Department, which became the Bureau of Indian Affairs, but it was the War Department first. They go around with Indian agents who were military personnel. They were all set called colonels and generals and shit. Who, when I look at these agency letters, so the military went around getting and learning everything they could about every single tribe, fed all that intel back, and now you have list of tribes. And now all I need to do is disseminate at all of my lodges these particular tribes in these areas. All right, you down there, we need a Seminole down there, tribe down there in Florida. Lodge number 299, that'll be your shit. Lodge number 67 over there in South Carolina, we need a Calusa tribe or Coosa tribe or some shit, whatever, right? Over and over and over again until you have all, because it's like, how did these YT folks all of a sudden out of nowhere just start doing all these fake tribes that are non-federally recognized, and they still have land somewhere pretending to be these things, and they know these indigenous names that weren't even taught to us long ago that we've had to dig for? You need help. Them white folks just didn't know these names. They didn't. All of them just didn't know all of these tribes or something. Somebody had to facilitate all this shit. Would have been the Masons. Would have been the goddamn Masons. And here is some extra proof for that shit. Their hands have been in a lot in the mid 1800s. Prior to that, masonry likely started with us, and they done perverted it. You know what I'm saying? But and got it to where it is today. But yeah. Man, I don't even know how long I've been on this bitch. 3 hours and 12 minutes. Damn. At least I got a clock. Let me see what y'all been saying, man. I ain't gonna scroll too far up, so y'all know. Let's see. Okay, y'all talking to each other. And if you're talking to say, if you ask somebody, I probably won't read it, because obviously you're not talking to me. Downing and Coastal, Pennsylvania. This is how they got all our records. Yeah. It's sad that people try to use these tribes that were never recognized. Yeah, exactly. At least if they had like federal recognition, which that's a whole nother story in itself on how some of them got federal recognized before 1974 and how some of them didn't. It's crazy how I know so much of this shit these days. Like, this shit is all in my head, a lot of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, not once did I think back in the day, like 2-3 years ago, that history would be all in my head like this. Now I did know a lot about it. I knew a lot about a lot, and I still know a lot about a whole lot of shit. But history, how I could just be writing out this shit, it's just crazy. But yeah, in 1974, when the BIA first got instituted, well, not the BIA, when they took over the recognition process, then they started requiring ancestry. Prior to then, it just needed legislative approval, and there was 500 plus executive orders, and I got the book on it, with all the executive orders of all the tribes that they just let in, and they literally let in all those bullshit ass tribes, literally during that time. They let them all in, and then they put a wall up with the what you call it. They're like, all right, now we need people to verify their ancestry and have a list of requirements. They can't just come in through the government no more, like through legislation, through somebody writing it down, like that's basically what it was, so yeah, you make a lot of sense, as well as the participants. I think you're talking about when I was talking about those tribes, different tribes there, Sunshine, but I forgot. You the truth. Appreciate that, nigga. You the truth. What year is this newspaper? You probably see it if that's the one I'm talking about. If that's the same one you was asking about, it's up there on the screen now. 1886. I love real people, for real. Gotta be real. Got it. That's why I be too honest sometimes, because I know I like to joke about a lot of shit, but then I be saying I be too honest sometimes. But all in good, fun and information. Yo, you been on it. I've I've seen you come very far in a short time. Appreciate that, Aisha. I appreciate that. And yeah, no, and that's you talking about when I said how I got so much shit in my head. Like it's crazy to me. I ain't even gonna lie to you. Like, and I wish I would have got on it long ago. Imagine how much I would already fucking know. I still gotta. It's like I gotta get caught up in a sense to all the years I've missed not studying this shit. You know. But at the same time, it ain't like I missed. It ain't like I haven't studied things that weren't amazing. I've been studying metaphysical shit. You know, yeah. Studied a lot of stuff about current events, wars. You know, all that shit. I used to study a lot about. I used to look. I used to watch classes, uh, like MIT classes. Like literally, they would put the videos. They just got a video camera in the motherfucking school. I mean, in the motherfucking classroom, and they put it up for free. And I was like, nigga, this is just like I'm sitting up in the goddamn class, watching shit about quantum physics and from them MIT videos and biochemistry and different shit that I used to look up. Uh, and just different shit. You know what I'm saying? I was all over the place with learning any and everything there was to learn, man. Everything but history and Indians, which is crazy. Really, really damn crazy, man. And then I fell into this. And it suits me right, man. My passion is directly into this. Like I really have an amazing feeling when I'm studying this shit. Like I really wake up every day. I go to sleep in front of my iPad, wake up to my iPad and my phone. I'm listening to y'all on the live streams while I'm scrolling through these little motherfucking devices and inputting shit and trying to figure this out. You know what I'm saying? So it's really cool. It's been real dope, man. And y'all have been a real inspiration to even further inspire me to want to do some of this shit. Like, don't get me wrong, I still have a knack for wanting to learn all this shit, regardless of an audience. Obviously, I was learning all kind of other shit without an audience before, but it definitely makes me want to go harder than before. I definitely sometimes even feel more obligated when I haven't done a video for you in about a week or so. I feel real bad. And some of y'all let me know, nigga, where you been at, man? Goddamn. I be like, oh man, that nigga's been. Actually, I like it. I be like, the nigga's missing, nigga. You know what I'm saying? So I actually do like it. And I appreciate y'all, man. I ain't gonna hold y'all up no more, man. It's uh getting decently late. I mean, I'm probably about. I ain't finna go to sleep, but I done been over so many topics. I'm just kind of rambling at this point. But nah, I appreciate y'all, man, for being up in here. Let me see what you say real quick. And my bad, I need to get caught up over there. I ain't even looked at the YouTube chat. I love y'all, man. YouTube. If y'all be sticking around and I don't be responding, I love y'all. Y'all ain't throwing a nigga in the trash. Let's see. You supposed to do this. Can't even appreciate that. Oh man, appreciate that. Super chat said thank you for all the hard work you do. All of your work. I'm new to my indigenous North American DNA, so I'm looking forward to following you in the future. I appreciate that, Umber Beast. Man, much appreciation, man. That's my first super chat because I turned that on not that long ago. I think that is my first one. I ain't like I just be turning shit on. I ain't looking to do this for the dollars, but do know that I don't want to say that I don't want to get rich off of this because if I do, that just frees me up to tell all these motherfucking stories. To be honest with you, and a lot of y'all know that I already make my own money and I got my own shit going. I'm doing pretty good, but I appreciate that. That's much appreciation. I appreciate all of y'all, all the gifts. Sorry, I hadn't been. I can somewhat, yeah, I can see the gifts over there now. Conus, appreciate that, Catnap man, Alpha Queen. All of y'all been sending gifts, and I haven't been thanking y'all. I love y'all, man. Appreciate the gifts. Again, like when I start doing these documentaries, that's like I started to think, like, yeah, man, like if I can make $4,000 to $5,000 off of each documentary, that literally pays for the traveling costs and things for the next 2 to 3 documentaries. And that's just how I look at it. Like, um, I can still put up the money myself. But let's just say if I want to do 10 documentaries in a year, nigga, that's 10,000 plus out of my pocket if it's about $1,000 per trip. It usually ain't $1,000. Like, I might be able to get a flight for about 150 to 200. Hotel stay, if I just stay there one day and just leave in one day, then if I'm just going there for a quick interview, just get a quick hotel, about 120, 150. Now we're at 300. Then a nigga need a little Turo or Ubers, you know what I'm saying, and whatever. So they ain't necessarily always 1,000, but like for this Yamasi one I'm gonna be doing, I'm gonna go out for the Green Corn Festival, and he says they take 2 days to get ready prior to the 3 day festival. It's 5 days. It's also 5 days I'm not working my businesses. Luckily I got some employees, but or contractors, but like except for my podcast business, but my business partner can work that to a degree. Uh, and well, no, he can. The way we set it up now, he just got to flip the button. But so you got time away, you know what I'm saying, and all that other stuff. So if I did that 10 to 15 times a year to try to tell 10 to 15 stories, now you seeing how much money it really costs. 20, 25,000. You know what I'm saying? Just to do these. Now I can try to do it a lot cheaper, but meaning like I can try to just get like interviews from people and they do the video themselves, but I really need most of it to be in a cinema style format called Raw, in order to qualify to have the videos put up on platforms like Amazon or Tubi or Hulu if they would accept it or something like that. So that's the only reason why I would be looking towards funding. I even thought about doing a little small Kickstarter for it, but I'm gonna do the first 1 or 2 or 3 uh, documentaries out of my own pocket before I ask for anything. And if those 3 don't fund the fourth, then I might do a Kickstarter for the fourth. Because then it'd be like, okay, y'all see me put out the work. You like the motherfucking what you call it? Okay. Not that you donate to the motherfucking documentary. You actually just be pre-buying the streaming, to be honest. So $5 to stream, you just paying it early. And then your gift would be the stream. Right? So it's really just pre-buying the stream. But let me look see what y'all. Yo, Sam, you found Chiefs in your line. Oh yeah, yeah. Definitely. I got at least 3 Chiefs. I could go around calling myself Chief something, 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 but I don't, and I say I could, but I would, man. Just because it's in your line don't mean you should. But, you know, maybe when I get like big one day and I got a bunch of followers, real influencer, everybody's really learning the game and I'm speaking at colleges, teaching them the game and real now, then I might feel like a chief. Then it's like, okay, yeah, I'm kind of like a chief. I'm a leader. Follow people. I'm a thought leader. I'm a knowledge leader, and an influential knowledge leader. Then I might throw the chief on front. Then the nigga might get a little cocky. You know what I'm saying? I might get a motherfucking tattoo for the first time. Chief. I don't know why I ain't got a tattoo yet. Actually, I know why. Because I'm indecisive on what to pick to put on my body permanently. That's like the most hardest thing. It take me an hour and a half to pick something to eat on Uber Eats. Imagine how much of my life is gonna take me to. Am I sure I want to put that on my arm? What if I think I don't want that later on my arm? I ain't got no one tattoo, mostly because of that shit. Indecisiveness, man. And let me see what my folks over here in Twitter were. YouTube were. Appreciate that again. I'm the breeze. Says your methodology is solid. As an Oprah, metal, yellow, first, red, much respect, yellow, Samuel C. Appreciate that, DJ Z. I would have to catch the replay, but thank you. Oh, yeah, appreciate that, Timmy. I know it's long into the motherfucker. Stuff that be like long like this, I do like the long form. Like me personally, if I got a car detail business, sometimes I'm still out there detailing cars, uh, and when I do, uh, I listen to the long form because I don't like the long form is good to where if you working with your hands, you ain't got to keep looking back at your phone to find another video every 10 minutes, right? Because the last 10-minute video done went off, and the autoplay is gonna play something stupid every time. You would think, look, YouTube and they autoplay is a bunch of bullshit. It will continuously play videos you do not want to see, videos coming from people that you do not know on purpose, and the same ones will keep showing back the fuck up. That should be pissing me off so much. Anyway, but regardless of that, but a cool 3 hour, live stream or hour 20. Now I don't have to even look at my phone. I just got my headphones on. I can, but so what's even better now when I work like that is the live streams on TikTok. Now, people may think I'm not interacting with them because I ain't got my phone in front of me. I'm listening, but they see me in the rooms and shit. They probably think, Sam ain't coming up, or Sam ain't typing or tapping. But yeah, I've been working with my hands, but it's cool because I don't have to. That's a motherfucking live streams. That motherfucker lasts 24 hours, so I could be on there my whole shift. I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? I done got through all kind of shifts from the live streams, and you learn a lot, and you hear a lot. You stay in the mix. I really do like it. So don't stop the live streams. I do like them, whether they're debates, normal conversation, arguments, just nigga y'all shooting the breeze, whatever. I'm definitely a fan of it, and I see it as like the future. Like talk radio used to be big, or TV shows where people can call in used to be big. Any kind of interaction, like how American Idol allowed people to start texting in order to be part of the whole thing, right? Anything that can get that kind of interaction is amazing. And this is like ultimate interaction. Not only is it people talking to each other, but then you got the chat. So then you got like 8 to 9, 10 people talking to each other all at one time, plus a chat full of hundreds of folks. Like that's a whole nother level of the talk show game or the talk radio or not talk show, like talk radio. Well, almost like the talk show too, because you're bringing in guests like a talk show, like a podcast and shit like that. It's really on some next level ass shit, and I think a lot of people, as they are already doing, will start gravitating toward this platform. And one thing that I've noticed, I pat myself on the back a couple of times for this because I look at other people's pages. I ain't gonna name them. I'll name some names like Tariq. Well, Tariq is different, not Tariq. He gets good numbers, but like the names that I do know, the two I don't want to name, but because I don't want to throw no shade under them. They cool folks, but there's several pages out there that will have like 250,000 subscribers. 750,000 subscribers, something amazing. But then when I go look at all of their most recent videos, many of them are barely cracking 1,000 views. And I'll be like, God damn, how can you have that many subscribers? You would think you would at least be getting 10% of that, 5%. But to barely crack 1,000 on multiple videos, that said a lot to me. And then when I looked at my video count, I appreciate y'all. My video counts look pretty good, especially for only having like 1.6 thousand followers on YouTube. Sometimes I be cracking 2,000-3,000 views on YouTube on random videos, and I'm like, how the hell can I? Because I'm talking about some shit and people are looking for me. That's how I feel about it. Because YouTube obviously ain't sharing my shit like that. I obviously ain't pushing a nigga. Because I see when you stop sharing and other people have to share and get people over there. But, I do notice, like, even on TikTok, I know, like, people, another name I don't want to, but he's real prominent, dope folk in our community. Not in like our live stream, like immediate community, but like this person's like a music artist and all this other stuff. But like they got like 400,000 folks. But when I look at their TikTok videos, barely cracking 400 views. And I'd be like, damn, that's pretty insane. And then I'll look at my shit and I'll be like, nigga, I get about 1,000 to 3,000, sometimes 6,000 every 3, 4, 5, 6 videos or so. You know what I'm saying? So I really appreciate that because that shows two things. One, it shows that I'm putting out great information. Two, it shows that the community really cares about it and is sharing it organically. I'm not out here like, man, y'all gotta be sure the nigga shit. Please share my shit. Ain't nothing wrong with saying it. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing wrong with doing it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm because it's good to. It's really a good practice. So don't make it seem like I'm shitting on anybody that does that. It's a good practice to remind your people to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. That is a good practice to do. I don't do it because I just don't do it. But people, y'all are really still sharing, man. So y'all are the motherfucking truth. I got to give the flowers out to the folks, and I just appreciate y'all and hopefully you all will continuously keep watching, keep sharing. See, I'm asking like one of the people now. But you know, ain't nothing wrong with it, man. That's what you're supposed to do. That is what you're supposed to do, really. And like you'll see on major productions, even PBS and everybody else, nigga, they be asking for donations and asking for people to watch and all this other shit, nigga. So I am not above the media and real practices and things that work. I'm not above that. In fact, if I was to institute it, I probably would do better. But I'm bad at that kind of shit, to be honest with you. That's just me. I used to work at a call center back in my early days, multiple call centers. Oklahoma is plagued with call centers everywhere. It's like your first job, one of your first few jobs when you get in your 20s. First job is just a regular job. When you get in your 20s in Oklahoma, you're going to get shoveled into one of them call centers as a nigga. But what was I saying? I started thinking call center days. Nigga said right. What was I saying? When I used to work at call centers, they wanted you to do a lot of repetitive shit. And I used to get in trouble for not doing the repetitive shit because I hate doing repetitive shit. It's part of my birth chart, actually. I hate monotony. It says on my birth chart, actually, I despise monotony. And that's true. That's why every time y'all see me come on here, I have something new. Otherwise, it'd be monotonous. And I can't stand that. And I probably would stop streaming. So I got to come with something new every single time. Now, that is a good thing because it makes me have to keep researching. It's a bad thing for those who miss my old shit. Because obviously I ain't saying it again, right? Now, I'll bring it up sometimes and other shit, but like I'll be telling myself at some point y'all gonna see me, and at some point y'all gonna see me recycle some of my old videos and old content over some time, maybe if I run out of new shit, you know, just for some reason. But there's so much shit out there, I don't think I ever will. I haven't even touched research in Europe, Asia, Africa, and the shit over there and all that other shit, and the tribes of different other tribes. I haven't even researched all the Indian tribes here in America. Imagine how many stories can be told. And that's why I like this whole situation right now. There is an amazing amount of stories that can be told just for our people. Like when I first said back in the day, a long time ago, I told myself I wanted to be a documentarian. Before I was even nowhere near about this whole Indian stuff. I didn't really have a passionate topic to document. I remember like coming up with some of the political shit I was decently passionate about. And I do have like lists that I had drew up of different, like Obama. I was gonna go in on Obama's ass. I was gonna go in heavy on that whole ass nigga. But and many other folks, man, but obviously I wasn't as passionate as I am with this because I have gone very hard with this. It makes sense. It resonates with me because it's my people. It's my ancestors. So anyway, I'm going on this whole tangent. I'm about to get over here, man. Many kinds of tribes in America we ain't even touched yet. I know, and I could spend my whole lifetime, and I will spend my whole lifetime trying to get every story out. That's gonna be the legacy, one of the legacies I leave, as well as these books that I'm gonna be helping to write or co-write or whatever, man. Like that's legacy, man. Like we're creating the things that people are gonna be looking at like later on, hundreds of years of now. You know what I'm saying? Just like we're looking at what they did 600 years, 500 years ago, in order to figure out the truth now. People are gonna be pulling this shit up and be like, man, them niggas was on it. Them niggas was going off on them crusty ass Africans, and telling all kinds of truth, right? So, yeah, definitely ain't no limit, Nikki. I appreciate that, y'all. I'm gonna get off of here. Uh, see if I done missed a whole. Hold on, hold on. Let me finish my little YouTube. I was going through that. Kasika Foreign is not foreign in the corporation. This our house, not Goldilocks. A lot of laughter. Not Caesar Borgia. You probably going off on the one folks. When I was showing the Miwoks, facts, we've only just begun to live. We was made for this salmon. Come on, the seaborn for real, man. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, again, I appreciate all of y'all, man. Get off here for the night. Now I can simulcast and everybody. Let me look at my TikTok studio real quick. Oh, I didn't know I had a restriction. Got some restrictions and warnings. I didn't even pay attention to the shit. Okay, cool. Yeah, y'all been able to see all that. Oh, y'all was able to see the chat too over there. I didn't even know I had that on the screen. That's what's up. Y'all was able to see the YouTube chat. I didn't even know y'all was seeing that. I forgot it kind of resized the window once I did that. But that's what's up. Because to be honest, I wish I can get it. Because right now my YouTubers, that it's not as many of them as it is like that be on my TikTok. I wish I can get my TikTok folks chat to show up over there to my YouTube and Twitter and all them folks, so that way they can see the interaction. Because I'm talking to y'all a lot, uh, and there might be a way I can do it. Let me see. Hold up. Hold up. Have the even though the chat is in a separate window, it's not listed as a window capture. Hold on, universal access, one screen. I don't think that. Yeah, it's not listed as a. What about display capture? Nah, it have to be window capture. Yeah, I thought that might have worked, but let me try this. No, nope. All right, I'll have to look it up. Maybe there might be a way to do it. Maybe not. It ain't like y'all have to see it, but it would be cool. But either way, I appreciate y'all. I'm gonna get off here, man. Y'all have a good evening.